Welcome to the Queen City Music Podcast, the podcast devoted to the local music scene in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, here's your host, Matthew Ablin.
Hello and welcome to episode 99 of the Queen City Music Podcast for June 2026. This episode of the QCMP is sponsored by Midwood Guitar Studio, Charlotte, North Carolina's own boutique guitar shop located in Plaza Midwood. Midwood Guitar Studio not only has the finest selection in boutique guitars, but familiar names like Fender, Martin, Taylor, Two Rock, and many others. Whether it's a guitar, bass, amp, effects pedal, or a much-needed accessory, the knowledgeable and friendly staff at Midwood Guitar Studio will help guide you in the right direction for your next purchase. And Midwood Guitar Studio also has a luthier on staff for all your repair needs. Visit their website at midwoodguitarstudio.com or stop in to see their unique shop at 1517 Central Avenue, Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'd like to welcome our newest sponsor, Goldie's, the spot for live music and food in the heart of Charlotte's Lower South End. Goldie's offers unpretentious food like smash burgers, wraps, pizza, and my favorite, the pulled chicken quesadillas. And while enjoying food and drinks, take in the live music featuring some of Charlotte's best musical acts. The music starts Fridays at 6 p.m. and Saturdays at 5. Check out their weekly live music schedule at goldiesclt.com or stop in at 3601 South Boulevard, Charlotte, North Carolina. By the way, if you have a business and would like to become a sponsor of the podcast like our friends at Midwood Guitar Studio and Goldie's, drop me a line at qcmusicpodcast@gmail.com and I'll discuss all the information with you. And if you enjoy the podcast, drop by MatthewAblin.com where you'll find my upcoming performance dates, social media links, original music, and a host of other information. If you've been listening to the QCMP over the years, you know I like to speak with people from across the musical spectrum. This month is no different, as my guest is Stan Cocheo, host of the internet radio show Musical Conversations. Stan has spoken to a wide range of artists, from local Charlotte musicians like our friend Peyton Velligan to international stars like Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull. So this month, I'm putting Stan in the hot spot and finding out how he became an interviewer. Stan Cocheo, welcome to the Queen City Music Podcast. How are you today, man?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So, Stan,
Matthew, it's good to be here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
We've got to preface stuff because I was on your show, Musical Conversations, a few months back.
Yes.
And we talked about you coming on the Queen City Music Podcast, and I'm finally happy that we got to make that happen.
And I'm very happy
on.
to be here. I thank you for coming on. It was wonderful. It was wonderful to meet you, and I've heard a lot about you because of the Queen City Music
Hopefully
Podcast.
Good things.
Always, of course. And you shared your music, which does end up getting played on the musicalconversations.org, which is the radio station.
Oh, thanks.
It's the internet station. And the live broadcast is what we had done.
Yes.
Now, I had recorded it, but what I end up doing is...
hold on, freeze. Before we even get into everything in Music Conversations, we're just going to start at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
So, are you originally from the Charlotte area?
I am not.
Okay.
I grew up in Northeast Ohio.
What part?
Chagrin Falls.
I am familiar with Chagrin Falls because, as you know, we talked about, I went to Case Western and Cleveland Institute of Music out there for graduate school.
Kind of mind-blowing to me, and how often it happens.
And I actually had a guitar student, a little girl at that time, and she's a grown girl at this point, and they lived out in Chagrin. Yeah. So I would go out there and teach lessons to the.
It's a beautiful area. I was just on the farther outside part of Chagrin Falls, just inside Geauga County.
Okay.
And so those who are natives to Chagrin Falls kind of get upset when I say that I'm from Chagrin, when I'm actually from Bainbridge Township. However, that does lead in because in Bainbridge there is Kenston High School.
Okay.
And Kenston is it still has a broadcasting radio station.
Okay.
What it is now is all big band, and it's on the internet, and that is the format. When I was in high school, it was fully student run.
Okay.
And I participated in that program.
So hold on a second. Let's just back up a little bit. Do you have a musical background, or is that your musical background going back into high school was playing in band, or getting involved with media that way?
It was more media.
Okay.
That's a good, thank you. That's a good word because I hadn't really thought about it. I consider myself my musical background being on the trivia end of it.
Got you.
I was always interested in who's playing what and when and where and all that. Now my musical background, the first instrument I think I played was a banjo.
Right.
And that taught me how to do the, finger picking.
Okay.
But then I saw Kiss Alive and then Alive 2 and Gene Simmons,
Love it.
and the thing that I've said or that I had said at the time was, I want to play that. Do the bat wings come with that? Because, it was just a cool
man.
thing.
Yes.
And I, pursued bass guitar, but I found that if I'm ever playing with anybody else, it became difficult because I was more interested in listening to them.
Gotcha.
And that's a huge block right there because what you've done is stop playing.
Right.
You're not paying attention to what you're doing. And I was more interested in what everybody else was doing.
Music is an interactive sport.
It is. It is.
Or art, I should
and
say.
And that is something that I love is the call and response and things like that ends up getting played. But I found that it was just very, very difficult for me to be a musician.
Right.
Yet, because of this radio station program and all of the music that was coming out and had been, recorded previously, I really pursued the knowledge and understanding of who the musicians were, what they played, how they played, who produced it, all of the trivia.
So you're getting into high school.
I was in
and they
high
had
school,
this
yes.
broadcasting program?
Yes.
Program? Okay.
Well,
and how did that pique your interest?
It's actually, to me, it's kind of interesting. My friend calls it my origin story.
Okay.
That prior to high school, all the way up through 8th grade, I went to St. Joan of Arc Catholic school in Chagrin Falls. And I realized that I wanted to go to the public school instead of the all boys schools.
Okay.
Catholic schools that were around. And for very direct and obvious reasons right there. I wanted to be able to interact with half the population.
Yeah. There's women there.
Yes. Not that I knew anything at the time, but, also being a September baby, I was, started high school at 14 years old.
Okay.
And, during, my first class was a study hall. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, at St. Joan of Arc, every moment was determined what we did.
Sure.
I mean, it was defined. We went from this class to that class. We all did that. Every moment was kind of assigned and taken care of.
Right.
Study hall in the cafeteria, which I couldn't find at first. And I'm sitting there going, what am I supposed to study? It's my first day. What am I doing here? Why am I here?
Right.
And the radio station was, I believe, in its second year. So It really was brand new.
So they were actually broadcasting that.
They were broadcasting.
Wow,
yeah.
Great.
And
I don't think we had one in my high school.
88.3 FM.
Fantastic.
I mean, you have to hunt for it all the way at the end of the dial.
Okay.
And also initially it was 10 watts. In other words, it used to be known as the voice of the Chagrin Valley.
Right.
And we call it the voice of Kenston High School parking lot because, a little bit, 10 watts. Really. So let me finish this one. I'm sitting there in study hall, and that was that all of a sudden the song that had come out, the album had come out over the summer because I started high school in 1978, was Just What I Needed by the Cars. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there going, because I was really thinking, what do I need? What do I want to do? What am I doing here? I need something. Mm-hmm. The song comes on. That's the epiphany. That's where I want to be. If they have the power to broadcast a song throughout the entire school, I want to be in there. I don't care if it's a mistake that they did or not, and that's all we heard was that one song. It was weird, but it was that was the moment where I'm like, that's where I want to be. And so the next year I signed up for that course because it was a 3-year course. You had to be accepted into it and everything.
Okay. And how long did the radio station go for? Was it just during the school day that they
really a little bit
went?
longer than that? They would sign on very, very early. Kenston High School at the time had the longest school day. We started like 7:05 in the morning.
Wow.
And went till like 3:15 or something like that. The numbers may be vague because it was,
Sure.
they're fuzzy because it was so long ago. However, we would end up broadcasting still until about 6:00 at night.
Wow. And
Now it's 24/7 because, you have many other ways of having a DJ there without having a DJ there.
yeah, do you know if they still do the program?
The program is, no, my understanding is that the program was, shut down. It is now a community station.
Okay.
And what's interesting is one of the people that I've interviewed looked at me and said, local to Charlotte,
Yeah.
said, "Oh my God, I've been listening to that radio station since like 2008. And
Wow.
I'm like, really? Yes, because his wife had gone up into the area and they like big band music, and she tuned into this place and then found out it was online also.
That's great.
Yeah.
And was it almost like a college radio station, which I don't know that much about because I was never involved with college radio, but rotating DJs every few hours?
Yes. I remember having to run late to the next class, which was typing.
Yeah. When they did typing in high
When they
school.
did
I
typing,
don't
now
think
it's
they do.
keyboarding and all of that.
Yeah.
But these were on typewriters, and
I would wonder if they
not
even do that.
electric ones either.
Wow.
It was that. I mean, I'm old.
Yeah.
But still, it was. Every day I would run late because I was on the air waiting for the next guy to come in.
So, all right. So you get into the program. Do you have to wait your turn, as it were, like for people to graduate so that you could get in, or do they have spaces to fill right away? And they're like, "Sure, man, we'll give you a radio spot."
I did find a spot early on, my freshman year. Usually they teach you, and then your sophomore year,
Sure.
no, not my freshman year. I'm going to take that back. Usually, it's because it's a sophomore, junior, senior class. The first year, your sophomore year in there, they teach you everything and then allow you to go on once in a while.
Okay.
I even received an award, best. I don't even remember what the award exactly was for. However, most improved, I think, is what it said.
Sure.
My mother found it and mailed it to me recently.
Oh, that's awesome.
In the basement of her
As
house.
parents keep stuff,
As
right?
she kept stuff, yes. But the award, yes, it was most improved, and that meant that also, because of the date on it, that I had gotten an air shift.
Okay.
My sophomore year.
No, keep going. Oh, don't worry about me. I'm just sitting
sorry.
along with the computer.
Okay. I had gotten an air shift my sophomore year.
Yeah.
So really early on in my high school career, I was on the air.
Okay.
And junior year it got better, and then senior year, I think I called it something else from a middle part of a Pink Floyd song. All
right.
Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun, I think.
So you do the radio show at the high school all through the high school?
All through
high school?
The 3 years that I was in that program. It was the communications class, and it covered all of my English classes, which at the time people, everybody else who wasn't in that program,
Sure.
they had to do 4 English classes a year.
And you got to do radio.
And I got to do 1 English class and radio, and because it's a radio station, and the teacher, Andy Kennan, was friends with the, record stores and things.
Sure.
And it was Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
We got records way before they came out.
That's great.
And, I know for a fact that the radio station in Cleveland, it's, DJs.
The big one?
The big one, WMMS.
Yes.
Home of the buzzard and all
Yes,
that.
sir.
But I know that the DJ would, in fact, listen to shows, listen to the high school station to hear what's coming up and what's popular.
Yeah.
And things like that. And I would then hear songs that I played on his shift after mine, which was very, very interesting.
So you're in high school, you do all the communications program, you graduate high school. Are you starting to think this is something that you want to do for a living?
Definitely. I got so absorbed into it. That is exactly 100% what I wanted to do. It was a vocational program.
Right.
It was a vocational school and there was an auto shop. There was a restaurant in there. There was all these other vocational programs, a wood shop, an electric shop, and a metal shop, everything like that.
Yeah.
I didn't know it at the time that the program that I was in was a vocational program. I found that out much later, and it made sense to me. I then went to Kent State University, and I still refer to it as the longest and most expensive party ever thrown.
Well, I tell you what, just you bring up the vocational programs. I remember being in high school, and we had auto shop, we had wood shop, plastics. I don't think there was a metal
plastics. What year did you graduate, if I may ask?
88.
88.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit before you. 82.
Okay.
Okay.
And we still had that. I don't know if that still goes on today. I thought, if I
Plastics.
remember correctly, high school was bringing back auto shop, but I don't know. I don't really keep up with my high
working
school.
Working on cars is totally different now.
Yes.
Radio.
But stuff is still the operation is still, I think. If I'm talking out of my own field, I don't know anything about
how to drive
engines.
one.
I'm sure there's still the basic mechanics and things like that, which might be the same.
Maybe.
You know.
But I know that, for example, the radio station program was discontinued pretty much. There was a class that one could take if one were interested, like an elective now, from what I understand. And that is because students have no interest in radio. They their source of music is elsewhere. Their source of the world has completely changed.
Yeah,
you know,
it really has.
Yeah.
All right, so we jumping ahead to the greatest party ever thrown.
Right.
You're in college.
I signed up for their on campus closed circuit radio station.
Okay.
Which came through the electrical system. You'd plug in. That's how it would come about.
So you get into college, you sign up for the radio station. Yes. Is there a difference between the high school radio station and the college radio station? Does everything operate essentially the same?
Everything was operated basically the same. I brought forth with me the methodology that I had done.
Okay.
I mean, all of the equipment stayed the same.
Sure.
Basically. We're dealing with records at this point still, and
sure.
CDs were new, but not popular, and I found that nobody was doing the Saturday night shift.
Yeah, because everybody's out partying.
Everybody's out partying.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I could do my partying beforehand or afterward or something. Or, I have other times that I can party. And I signed up for that shift. The first night, I found myself walking home with a stack of records in my hand, because I brought my own records.
Sure.
As the sun's rising.
What time was that shift from? It was like midnight.
It was
6 a.m. or something.
I think it was 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
And what they would do is rebroadcast that popular radio station, WMMS.
Okay.
Because it's not actually broadcasting.
Sure.
Anywhere. I mean, it is being broadcast technically, but it's not over the air. It is closed circuit.
It's on the college campus.
Campus. Across the hall was the NPR station, which was huge. And people the women swore that they heard it like in their hair dryers and things. That station was so powerful. And the antenna was right outside my dorm.
Interesting.
And speaking to somebody who also had gone to Kent State, speaking to somebody recently.
Sure.
My dorm isn't even there anymore.
Wow.
But
well, I mean,
they things change and move. They rebuild and all of that.
So you're in college. You're doing this. Do you complete college with the program? Do you get your degree in, I guess, communications? Is that it?
It would be it. It would have been telecommunications that I was pursuing.
Gotcha.
As I called it, the longest and most expensive party ever thrown. I found myself not able to continue that program, academic suspension, as it were, because I focused on that radio station.
Got
it's
it.
really exactly what I wanted to do. And so I moved back home, and it's difficult to move back home, isn't it?
Sure.
But from there, I ended up going to the community colleges, Tri-C. I went to Lakeland Community College also, which had its own on-campus broadcasting into the cafeteria radio station at Lakeland.
Don't mind me smiling. I hear you talking. No. It just makes me laugh because I didn't live in Cleveland all that long. I was in Cleveland for 11 years. But it's so funny that... Yeah.
You didn't live there that long, 11 years.
Yeah.
That's not that long. 11 years is a
Well,
long
I mean,
time.
I was in New York 25.
Yeah.
So but
grew up
in 11 years in Cleveland, like I always say, like I grew up in New York, but I really kind of grew up in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like after when I moved there when I was like 20 something, it was just such a growth experience at that point from like 25 to 35, 36 that I lived there. I like really like,
right.
I really adopted the city. Like I took on
it's the rock and roll capital of the world.
Yeah, well,
and people argue with me about that.
I have a cousin, more cousins, and they at times, some of them still do live in Chicago.
Okay.
And I was always loved that when we would go to Chicago, my cousin would show me around all the time. My cousin Dan, he'd be like, let's go check this out. Let's go check that out. He knew the city like inside and out. And
let me comment on Chicago very briefly. And that is that it is a wonderful place to visit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to live there, but go on.
I mean, at the time it was nice.
Yeah.
But now it's different. But anyway, I digress. My point being, when I moved to Cleveland, the thing I didn't really, even growing up in New York, I was so involved in my little area.
Where in New York, if I may ask?
Long Island area.
Okay.
Suffolk County. And I knew my little area really well.
Right.
But I didn't go outside of it very much. So going to Cleveland, I kind of made it a point, like, my cousin was kind of an inspiration. Like, I was like, I'm going to get to know this city. And so when you say things like Tri-C College, like, yeah, man, I did gigs at Tri-C. I played over here. I hung out over here. I did this. I knew the West Side a little bit and this.
I was in the Warrensville Heights, location there, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
Lakeland, of course, all the way up. Now Lakeland, Route 306 runs through the small Bainbridge Township and all the way up, and into the lake, literally. But Lakeland was right there.
Yeah, it's a lovely area, man. I mean, I really enjoyed my time there. So my point, like when you bring up stuff, it just brings back all these memories. You're like, oh, the radio station. I'm like, WMMS. How did I not know it's not the Buzzard?
Right.
All these little things. And yeah, okay, I spent a decade of my life there, but you could live somewhere for a decade and not entrench yourself and get to know the area as well as you should and get used to the culture of the place.
Yeah.
That is possible.
Yes.
And then there's also the other part where you're like, kind of like, oh, no, man,
this
is home.
Yeah.
Cause I went to school with people there and they were there maybe just for school. They had no intention on staying and doing anything past. They were just like, no, I'm not doing this. Right. And I kind of put myself in there because for a period I thought I was going to be there for the rest of my life. I didn't think I would move south.
I really did think that I would be there my entire life. I moved out and I moved to New Jersey and I was there for just over 4 years.
Yeah.
And then I moved back to Cleveland. And at that point, I'm like, no, I'm staying.
Right.
And then my job situation had changed and I ended up in Texas.
Oh, wow.
And I was there for 2 years, of which, and I quote my old dorm mate from Kent.
Yeah.
When he said, because he had spent time there in Texas also, he says I was there for 2 years and it was the longest 10 years of my life.
In Cleveland?
No, in Texas.
Oh, okay.
My God. I couldn't wait to get away from there.
Yeah.
And that's where we turn it to, both of us, not native Charlotteans.
Yeah.
And how much we love the area.
Yeah, I do.
Absolutely.
I do love it.
I have quoted, or I have a quote that I have said that the Charlotte region is very, very much like Cleveland, except better weather.
Yes.
And, if I want the snow, I can drive to it.
Yeah.
And also there's a beach 3 hours away, which there's no surf in Cleveland. There's no, there's even a song called that, by the way, by the Euclid Beach Band.
I feel extremely fortunate having been in Cleveland and Charlotte at the same time, because when I got to Cleveland, I got there in 95. Mm-hmm. Cleveland was going through starting its Renaissance period.
Completely.
When it started to come back.
Because in 1995 is when they opened the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Well, they also started doing the Cleveland Indians, now the Guardians.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Go back to the Cleveland Indians.
Yeah. Go
they
Tribe.
started to win ball games. They were an up and coming team.
Matthew, that's interesting. I have to comment here because I was back in Cleveland in 94, 95, and 96.
Okay.
Now, not all of 94 or 96, so it really was only 2 years that I was back there. But I was hanging out at Case around that time as well.
Yeah. It's great.
It's interesting.
The whole city at that point had started to become a light, and there was a place on Coventry where we used to go. Me and a few of the guitar players in the program was at, and we'd just meet up there at BW3s.
Yeah.
Buffalo Wild Wings and Wex. And we would go and we'd just have wings, and they had big screens, and you just watch the games.
Yep.
And the city at that point was lit up. Like, people were just excited. The Indians were in the playoffs and in the series, and it was crazy. It was crazy. So
around the time of losing the Browns, but that's beside the point as well.
Yes. And then you also had the Flats, which was basically the party area.
Oh, yeah.
Where everybody would go to. So that was the big thing.
That was huge.
And then Uptown or downtown Charlotte started to become like a place people would start to go a little bit.
Yeah.
It was starting to become a little safer. Whereas for a period of time it was not. But then when I moved to Charlotte, when I got to Charlotte in 06, funny enough, very close to the same time, 11 years later, Charlotte was starting to grow, starting to grow.
Yeah.
In a different way.
So from my end, I was in Texas for 2 years, and then I moved to Charlotte in 1998.
Sure.
And I tried finding a local music scene, and I couldn't on my own. I found that one needs is somebody to help you find the music scene.
Gotcha.
In the Charlotte region, I would pick up Creative Loafing, which I knew from Atlanta.
Yeah.
I knew the magazine, and in Atlanta, it was a fantastic one. Here, just kind of never did anything. It doesn't exist anymore, so I can put it down.
Yeah.
It didn't do anything for me. It didn't tell me that there was multitude of places to go.
Sure.
And there is a multitude of places to go.
Yeah.
For live music.
Well, especially now.
Yes. And it's grown.
Yeah.
I found, but I was pulled into that, and we'll get to that, but I was pulled into the Charlotte music scene in 09 and around 2010.
All right, hold on. Before we get into the Charlotte music scene, yeah. Let's backtrack, because I got us all off just talking about Cleveland.
Right. Well, Cleveland. Right,
so
again, and people have argued with me about Cleveland as far as why does it have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? How is Cleveland so important to rock and roll? And I said, if there's only one reason, it's David Bowie. People don't get that.
Well, also they broke Rush.
Rush
was one of the reasons they broke there.
I have a story about that.
I mean,
at 10 years old, because I was born in 64, so this is 1974.
Yeah.
Sitting on the hump of the center on my friend's father's car, and we're driving someplace. Of course, safety first and all that. Nobody's seatbelted or anything like that. We're driving along, and I remember his father reaching past me, grabbing the volume on the radio and turning it up and saying, "That's not Zeppelin." And it was Working Man. I've told friends this, and overtold. I've told it a lot of times. However, they're envious. That, you mean to tell me you heard Rush first? I'm like, I don't know if it was the first broadcast of it or not, but it's close enough for me.
But I remember hearing
hearing that.
Yeah.
And I remember that even then I was interested in music. I was interested in what was going on.
Yeah.
And so there.
Well,
Rush.
it touches you at a different point.
Completely.
right, let's backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
So you're finishing college,
I didn't finish college. I never actually got my degree.
Well, you went back to Tri-C.
I did go to Tri-C.
Okay. Are you doing communications at that point?
Tri-C, they didn't really have a communications program in the Warrensville location. I don't know if they did in any other one. I wasn't going to drive that far. It was also the party. It was also the center, student center where we were playing spades all the time. An ongoing game. Somebody said I got a class and they'd get up, somebody else would sit down. Just forever, all day. That I remember. I remember the computers. I was taking a computer class, working on an Apple IIe.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, programming in BASIC and things like that. However, it just didn't do it. There was nothing there going.
Okay.
I wanted to return to Kent, and I would go down there and hang out for Dungeons and Dragons games.
There you go. Okay.
And the Society for Creative Anachronism and things like that. And then, but that's also where I met my wife.
Okay.
And I walked in and sat down and we started a conversation. And what I said for many years, I found it to be very, very sweet, the statement I made. We started the conversation and it's still going on. She had a wonderful response a little bit later, and that was, yeah, you still haven't gotten to the point.
Good for her.
Yes. So our relationship, was strong and continuing on.
So do you, when you finish at Tri-C?
I did not finish again.
Okay,
but
you did not finish. Okay.
I never really got a degree. I also went to the Ohio School of Broadcast Technique.
Okay.
And I ended up there for 3 years, repeating the intro one. My car died in their parking lot, and I wasn't able to complete the first year course, so I had to take it again. Just issue after issue after issue, preventing me from diving in.
So what are you doing? Are you trying to become a radio DJ?
I wanted to.
Okay.
I was making mixtapes. I was, for myself, just this song following that song, because it was radio that I wanted.
Gotcha.
Not club DJing, which, I just, I didn't get.
You don't want to just spin records and people dance, yeah.
And I ended up, managing a pizza joint.
Okay.
And my friend's father was running that. But from Kent, driving him from Kent to, Parma.
Parma.
All the way out. A long drive. Spending a lot of money on gasoline. But at that time it was 85 cents and who cared?
Yeah.
But still, met my wife. I started working at other things and,
did you always have the communications back in your mind that's something you wanted to do?
100%.
Okay.
I ended up married, child, no job prospects whatsoever.
Interesting.
And my mother, who had grown up, my mother was born in Panama, but grew up in New Jersey.
Okay.
And then when she married my father, moved to Cleveland, and that's where I, was born. She moved back when she had left my father, and then also when my father passed away, she moved back to where her family was in New Jersey.
Okay.
So I ended up, she came and got us because it's her first grandchild. And my wife found an ad in a newspaper that said, embroidery machine company needs help. Must speak Spanish. No experience wanted. And I always found that wording to be very, very different. It was translated from the original Japanese. It was a Japanese company. The thing is, though, at that time, what I wanted to do was get into radio. I wanted to go into New York. Here's how deluded I was. Of course, they're going to welcome me because I don't have that New York accent. I don't have, I'm the Midwest accent, lack of accent, as they call it.
Yeah.
They should just welcome me as I walk in. My music knowledge is so deep. I didn't know anything at the time, but I thought I did.
Right.
And not remembering the fact that it's the number one market in the world.
Sure.
For radio. I mean, not just the United States, really in the world.
Sure.
And yeah, that never happened. And I ended up stumbling into this embroidery industry. The company was a machine manufacturer.
Okay.
And I guess they still manufacture machines. And it was the technical support and parts department that was there. Also the American office of this Japanese company. My job was to learn the software. And this was 1991. A mouse is a new thing on the computer.
Sure.
You know, I'm sitting there in front of this computer, that I have to draft out the image and create it. But my job, the reason they said must speak Spanish was they wanted to send me to South America so I could teach people there this software and the industry. But they didn't want me to have preconceived notions, ideas, anything they had to break me of. They wanted somebody who knew nothing about embroidery.
Sounds very Japanese.
At that time, that was me.
We're going to teach you.
Also, they put me on the second floor corner office. Windows. I had windows, you know, and I'm thinking how amazing that is with my American mentality. Japanese company. What did they do? They put me on a shelf out of the way, out of the flow of information, and they would bring me down and send me someplace when they needed me, and that was about it. But my job was to play with the software. So during that time, I learned a lot, and I learned how to approach artwork in different ways, in creative, artistic ways.
Okay.
And I have a whole story where I learned from Wolverine because the X-Men cartoon was coming out, and I have an embroidery design that I created for myself, not to sell. I have to be careful on that. That it really reveals the musculature. I am taking this original art and recreating it and interpreting it, but really bringing out a cool aspect of it that doesn't exist on the page, but it exists when sewn.
Right.
Then the company would then send me to South America to teach in Spanish. First place they sent me was Brazil, which is fascinating because they speak Portuguese there.
Yeah.
And all I know is obrigado, which is thank you. However, all of the things that I learned in radio applied and helped me. I'm standing in front of people. I'm taking concepts and I am teaching them to these people. And when I was in high school, I was either in the radio station or I was in the foreign language department.
That's funny that you say that because I think being a teacher, I am always on stage. Like I have to talk in front of 30 people. Yes. Every class I see, like 30 kids, and I've got to be on, and I've got to be able to communicate, and I've got to be able to do this. And then when I go on stage, it probably helped me get over when I was studying guitar in college and grad school. I had awful stage fright.
Yeah.
And even when I first started teaching, I think there was a little bit of quote unquote stage fright doing that. Mm-hmm. But I think it helps you get over it because, people are staring at you.
I love radio because what's in front of you is a microphone. Yeah. And you know that the people are out there. Somebody's got to be listening, right?
Sure, right.
And that security I liked. However, I also learned that one can how to stand in front of people and teach. My teacher from that communications class, his name's Andy Kennan. Mm-hmm. He travels through Charlotte at least once, about once a year.
Yeah.
On his way to Florida for, spring break. He goes to Marco Island.
Okay.
But he stops in, we go to dinner. Sometimes on the way down and on the way back. So usually just one time. And he's, when we're reconnecting after so many years, he said, "So you were teaching?" And I could see the pride in his face just come over. Wonderful, because, proud of me. Yeah. And he has said this. Now, what's also wonderful is when I go up to Cleveland, mm-hmm. he had started the docent program at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay.
Okay. The pandemic killed that program from what I understand, mm-hmm. but he was the co-chair of the docent program. And so I would go up to Cleveland and I get a tour from him. Somebody who'd been teaching me for 40 years is now taking me around and looking at all of these things, and we're talking about, Keith Moon's drum kit.
Yeah.
And,
Funny
and I'm
enough.
reminding him that my first book report for him was Dougal Butler's Full Moon,
Yeah.
who was the personal assistant to Keith Moon.
One of the fellas I went to college with in Stony Brook in New York, he's actually works at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now.
That's cool.
I think I want to say the education department, but I'm not really sure because I'm not really close with him.
Well, the education department of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has connected with Tri-C, Cuyahoga Community College.
Okay.
And that's where they have their archives.
Interesting.
And what's interesting, here's a name you may remember, Jane Scott. No, she wrote for the Plain Dealer. And one of her first jobs was Four Lads from Liverpool and their first show in Cleveland at Public Hall.
Wow.
And so when she passed away, even Paul McCartney sent flowers.
Oh.
Wow. Okay. What Andy Kennan had done as a volunteer at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is one of his tasks had been to go through her record collection, where she had put inside the sleeves notes and commentary on who this artist was and what was going on there. And that to me is a treasure trove of information that I would just love to go into. You can sign up to go in there, but because it is a library essentially. And of course, if it's something they have to bring it out to you and things like that.
Sure.
White gloves and everything, which is very, very funny. He told me that the guitars around and everything, sometimes the artist wants that guitar back.
Sure.
It's on loan to the Rock Hall.
It's
the museum. Yeah.
It is loaned.
It is loaned to them. And so, it being a museum, they have the white gloves, they take it out, they set it up, and the roadie comes in, grabs it, greasy hands, throws it in the case and drags it off. Because, it's just, a tool to them.
Sure.
As opposed to this museum item. That's just, the perspective is funny.
I like the Rock Hall, but there were just certain things I just found very sad going in and seeing these guitars in glass and I just like they're instruments. They're meant to get played. I remember seeing like a couple of guitars with broken strings sitting in there, and I was just like, man, just play them.
Somebody should be playing them.
Yeah,
yes,
they should
you
not
are
be
correct.
sitting behind glass to look at. They're not museum pieces. This is not an artifact from the 200 AD.
Right, right. I see your point. I was awestruck standing in front of John Paul Jones's Alembic 8-string bass.
Sure.
It was just, I remember seeing in Bass Player magazine this thing being advertised, talked about, reviewed and everything, this phenomenal instrument. And just, I never thought that I'd actually get to see it.
Right.
Albeit behind glass.
Sure.
But I never really thought I'd get to see it. It was astounding.
And that's a nice aspect, but there's just still parts of it. I struggle with it thinking it's a pop museum, which essentially it is.
Yeah.
Because maybe in 200 years, are half these groups going to be remembered? Is anybody going to care? Because if you go back 200 years before, there's tons of musicians and composers,
but we didn't have.
We only remember the greats.
The difference is, what was the method of recording then? To write it out.
To write it out. Yeah.
We don't have the method of recording, and now we can still listen to something that came out essentially 100 years ago, because that's when recording started.
Right, and we are much better at keeping our history, I guess, would be a good way to say it. Recording of our history.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
We'll see. I won't be here. You won't be here. So who knows what's going to happen?
Who knows? We might. They might solve some genetic thing and turn that gene off that ages us.
There you go. If we're lucky.
Who knows? The singularity and all of that stuff that Kurzweil talks about.
So let's jump in. You're in the embroidery industry.
Yes.
And then
And I'm just
Are you
fascinated
getting back
by
into communications at some point?
I am fascinated by the fact that I am able to take this art, no matter what it is, and recreate it and present it in a different way.
Okay.
And in New Jersey, I was with that company for, just over 4 years. Then found that their competition was back in Ohio. So I finagled my way to get back there. All I was really was a feather pulled from the cap of the competition.
Sure.
To use a cliche statement. But 2 years later, they're like, goodbye. And they worked it out so it ended up making me feel ashamed in some way because it was weird. It was just a weird situation.
Yeah.
But also it was a Japanese company that had bought an American company, that connected to North Carolina, which is really weird and interesting to me. And that's that.
So are you doing any other communications when you're back in Ohio?
No, at that point I was on a mixtape project of finding themes and making mixtapes covering that. And, which to me is adjunct radio.
So do you not find yourself back in the communications lane until you come to Charlotte? Is that it? Or do you find your way back while you're...
Truly, you are correct there. I did not find my way into radio of any form until I moved back to Charlotte. And it wasn't that really, in the scheme of things, it wasn't that long afterwards. It was about 2005 that a housemate of mine had given me the ability to broadcast on the internet. And it was a new thing then.
Okay.
The internet,
sure. 2005,
but 2005, the broadband had come out. So we have not a dial-up connection.
Sure.
But the ability to broadcast, whatever the computer is playing.
Sure.
I started using gaming headsets and Y-splitters.
There you go.
Hey, the top-of-the-line technology
This is what everybody's
there.
learning, yeah.
Yeah. And a buddy of mine would come over and we'd hang out and talk. And that became musical conversations.
So
we were having musical conversations was the phrase we used. So it became this show. And I'd log on, broadcast, and we'd play songs in between, but it was either I play a song or I talk.
So, but you just start getting into it and you're broadcasting.
We just started to do it
at home and just at home, just for fun.
Yeah, just for fun.
Or
just because my
friend, giggles, basically.
Yeah,
for lack of a better word.
Right.
And
well, my friend and I, we love music and we love trivia about music, and it was wonderful I heard this song. I have this song I want you to hear. What do you think of this song? Or this leads to this artist, to that artist, to, down those rabbit holes.
Right.
Wonderful conversations.
But I guess the point I'm trying to get at is you're talking about music because that is your shared
passion.
Got you.
Thank you.
That's where you're at.
That's where
we're
at.
With your friend, you guys
had to do this.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And what are we going to talk about? Let's just talk about music.
We were just talking about music because this is what we wanted to do.
Gotcha.
Come over and talk music with me.
Okay.
And it's a phrase I continue to say. Come over, talk music with me. We'll have fun.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful how it weaves in and out. But that's really how it started.
That's great.
Then, so I've skipped a little bit. I was, in Texas for 2 years. I couldn't get any live music or anything like that. It was, I don't know.
Well, I'm just curious, just getting into Charlotte and getting back into the communications
through the embroidery industry.
Yeah.
This is when I really was doing training classes and things, standing in front of people and talking and instructing them on computers, because still computers were weird.
So you're on the cutting edge of computers when they're coming out. So you're learning everything as it's coming out.
Yes.
No, I mean,
I have a digression here.
Yeah.
I was also a victim of the Y2K anomaly. And that is that the embroidery machine was computerized.
Right.
That I was representing, that I was the tech support guy for. And I asked in November of 99, hey, is this thing Y2K compliant? Mm-hmm. And I was reassured by the Chinese company. Of course it was. January 1st, nope. Because it was originally a basic program that had been updated.
Well, when I say, you're into the...
It was weird because you would take an embroidery design and export it to a floppy disk.
Sure.
Put it in the machine, and you wouldn't be able to read it. Even after the update, you wouldn't be able to read it until the next day.
Right.
Because 2000 was not a leap year, even though it would calculate as one.
Interesting.
And so March 1st, then you could read them.
Sure.
That same day. It was a weird thing. They tried to fix it. They sent out a fix, but it didn't really work.
Yeah, when I say cutting edge on computers, what I'm more specifically just getting into is like when computers started to become a thing in the 90s.
Yeah.
My father
was right there.
Had a fabricated steel business or a fabricated sheet metal business. And he was an engineer, but he wanted to learn how to draft instead of doing it on paper on the computer. So he had bought a computer and he was learning these programs.
AutoCAD completely, yeah.
I was learning how to do, no, I wasn't learning how to do the drafting that he was doing, but I started, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm on the computer. And here I am now, I'm a young person. I'm like internet. Chat rooms, talking to people, talking about comic books or whatever, and I'm just, wow, this is some cool internet stuff. Talking with somebody in California.
Right. It was so cool. And my friend, his father had a desktop publishing company.
Right.
In Shaker Heights, Ohio.
Okay.
Upstairs inside one of in the square there. And just all these Macs.
Sure.
Set up. These are the tall ones in the boxes. Yeah. And the one button, geometrically weird mouse. But we would go in there. He also my friend had one in his room, and I remember writing something. I wanted to express. I was writing. This was mid to late 80s.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden he gets a message pop up. It freaked me out that something came up in front of it, of the
screen,
the desktop publishing screen that I was using. He said, that's a message from somebody in Alaska on the network. What is the network? Internet wasn't a word yet.
Sure.
And, so I was, let's go all the way back to high school, and Andy Kennan, the teacher of the communications program, had a computer that he had bought and had it in the office. It didn't have a case on it, which is how he got it at a great discounted price. It didn't have a cover over it. It was just all open there, which was a learning thing for us also. But it was a TRS-80. And we would sit there with the book of basic programs. How do you
work this?
And we would type in these basic program games, and it was the only computer outside of the schools. Yeah. It was the only one and the schools did scheduling.
Well, what I'm trying to bring it back to is that what maybe somebody younger might not understand is in the time period that we grew up, even though you're a few years older than I am.
Yeah.
Is that computers were starting to become a thing. And then you being at home with a friend of yours doing internet radio.
Right.
That at that time period was still rather cutting edge.
Yes.
It was something new.
It was new.
And I was just curious on how you had gotten into computers, which is...
This is how I had gotten into computers. When I went to Tri-C, I took a computer class.
Gotcha.
Still programming on an Apple IIe. Yeah. And thinking, which doesn't even have a mouse, you know.
Which gave you the background and the knowledge of doing the
also graphic arts on a computer. I realized it was going to be something huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because I remember programming in on the, peeking and poking.
Sure.
As the programming language stated, to have it draw out the Doors logo.
Gotcha.
I just just had this conversation recently about this, and so it's coming up again, that I had it draw that out.
Yeah.
And it took me all afternoon to do this. And I thought I was being clever because I wanted it to be the opening, the hello program of the Apple IIe. You know, you program it in, and of course, I don't want it to take up that much memory, so I had it delete the program afterwards. I never saved it.
Interesting.
So I ran the program once, drew on screen the Doors logo, and it's gone forever. However, I also learned that, that was a major lesson in computers, of course. And it's interesting, though, the other connection to that is that when I started at the embroidery company, the first design I ever did was the Doors logo. I took the album, photocopied it, the first album, photocopied it, put that on the digitizing tablet, and created the design. Neat. I still have that sew out, hanging above the door, of course.
So if we jump ahead, just get back to the computer stuff, is you are doing this internet show with your friend.
Yes. We're just hanging out, talking music, and have some friends listening.
Okay. And this is in Charlotte.
Okay. As a matter of fact, it's right around the corner. How long have you been here?
15 years.
So, do you remember before 485?
Yeah.
There was an alpaca ranch down the road?
I don't remember it being an alpaca ranch.
Okay, it might have been right around the time that they had... Well, we lived there.
Okay. All right.
And our neighbors were the alpaca farmers.
Interesting.
And so, yeah. It was fascinating. However, that's where we were.
So you're broadcasting
there. Friends were listening.
How long did you do this with your friend?
I started in 2005, and we'd do it maybe, every other week, once a month to twice a month.
Okay.
And whenever we saw, oh my God, I heard this new song or whatever, I really want to talk about. I really want to talk about Ronnie James Dio or something. That's the one that came to mind.
So how does this evolve into musical conversations? Like it is musical conversations.
It's musical conversations. We're calling it that.
Oh, okay.
Kind of. It's just kind of a vague thing.
Yeah.
And then a couple of things happen all at once.
Okay.
Or in succession, and I don't remember exactly what went first. Yes, I do. My friend came over, and it was after I was running a Dungeons & Dragons game.
Okay.
And he looks at me and says, "What a great music scene there is in town." And I laughed at him. This is 2009. I've lived in Charlotte for 11 years.
Yeah.
You know what it's like living in a place for 11 years, but imagine not being able to find anything.
Right.
It's interesting, the number. And I had seen Creative Loafing. I had seen a few other zine things and stuff like that, but I had no way of knowing where Noda was. I had no way of knowing where any of these, because there's no road that goes through it. You have to know where you're going to get there.
Yeah.
Plaza Midwood, you drive through, you don't notice it as being much.
Sure.
And the South End hadn't been built up at all.
Sure.
Where am I going to go see some live music? I had no idea.
There's only a select, and I have had this conversation with a few people. There were places that I never heard of that when I got here, but there was a select few places. I don't think it was. Well, there was not as many bars and breweries and restaurants where they had live music
at that time,
like there are now.
It had not. My experience was that I had no connection into it, so I couldn't figure out how to get there.
Gotcha.
My friend said, "Let me show you." And also about this time is when it was really starting to build.
Sure.
Okay. So we went to a place called Thurston's, I think it was, in South Park area.
It's
no longer there.
Right.
But we looked at it as, it's a like a strip mall location type store that they put a bar at the end and they have a stage by the door or something, and it was just, let's just do this. But the band that I saw was called Red All Over.
Okay.
3 people, a guitarist, a bass player who programmed the drums, and the female lead singer. And it was absolutely wonderful. They did an acoustic set and then 2 electric sets, hung out with me, talked with me, encouraged me to pursue this idea. So my buddy, Steve Coombs, who's, he's no longer with us. He had passed away in 2014. This is 2009, heading into 2010, introduces me initially to the music scene. And I looked at him and said, how do you get the news out? Because as someone who moved to the area, I couldn't find anything on my own. And how do you find that out? And so we went and started going to all of these bars, talking to them. We started a webpage we called Live Limelight. This was his answer. And he was a webpage designer and a photographer. And we went to these places. We interviewed the owners if we could. We reviewed the bar, down to how's the bathroom.
Written interviews, not our live interviews? Like
recording? Just spoken, and
Gotcha.
we'd remember, and then we'd write it out. Okay. And it was to gain information, not to exactly interview.
Gotcha.
Which I know it's a weird connection there, a weird disconnection, actually, difference. But all we were doing is talking with them, trying to find out what's going on. I did get a phone that had a pen, and I started writing it down at some point.
Sure.
When I was, it was fun. It was interesting. It introduced me to the Charlotte music scene. We tried to go to as many different bars as we could, and music venues, more than bars. They happen to sell alcohol, yes, but, places like the Milestone. Mm-hmm. Before I moved to Charlotte, there were only 2 places that I had heard of in Charlotte, and that's the Double Door and the Milestone, world famous Milestone, and the Double Door Inn. And I'm very, very happy that I had experiences at the Double Door Inn, and I miss it greatly because that was a great room.
Yeah, I was only actually there one time, I think. I went to go see Eric Gales play.
Ah, yeah.
And he was fantastic. I was right at the side of the stage. Literally, he was like from me to you, and I was just watching him play guitar, and I was like, damn, that's just fantastic.
Well, the story of Clapton getting off of stage and needing to play and needing to continue to play, so he shows up at the Double Door, and the Brothers Band is on, and he asks, can I join you? It's legendary.
Interesting. I didn't ever heard that story. Yeah.
The reason that he would do that is because he had stopped drinking. Pete Townsend had said to maintain that, you get off stage, you need something, and you've been going to alcohol.
Go keep playing.
So go keep playing. Find a bar, something like that. And this was around that time.
Get away from alcohol and go to a bar.
Go to a bar, Find a music venue, still.
Sure.
And, yeah.
That's funny.
All
right, so you've got this going on with your friend. You're doing this kind of thing.
One other thing on the Double Door.
Yeah.
There is one spot on the stage.
Was a spot on the stage.
That musicians would kind of just trip over, and there's nothing there. Underneath the carpet and stuff like that, there's nothing there. It's where Stevie Ray Vaughan dropped his guitar. And this is just the legend of the place. Yeah.
So you're doing this with your friend, and it's kind of called Music Conversations, but it's not official yet.
It's not official, no. And it's through my friends, so you have to go and it's whatever the hell the page was /Stan.
So
it's a player.
At what point does this become Stan Cocheo Musical Conversations?
My friend and I doing, we started that Live Limelight project.
Yeah.
And about the same time, I'm doing this, he says, why don't you start interviewing bands? Also, the guys who own, Jason Michael, who owns Snug Harbor, a few others, Scott Slagle, they started a community-based radio station, internet radio station. It's almost contradictory of itself, a community-based, internet station. But Plaza Midwood Community Radio they started.
Okay.
And I said, you know what? I'm already doing this. I'm already doing a radio show. I call it Musical Conversations. what do you need from me? And Jason looked at me and said, at least an hour. So I was already broadcasting on Tuesday nights because that's when music comes out. Mm-hmm. And I continued to do that, playing songs for a friend of mine, some friends of mine, somebody in Cleveland, Mark up in Cleveland, and another Stan who lives in the Seattle area. And Maureen was her name, out in Louisiana.
Gotcha.
Primarily. I don't know who else was listening, but I would have had to have advertised.
Sure.
What's interesting is each of them have individually said what a great music scene there is in Charlotte. Somebody in Louisiana commenting, somebody in Seattle commenting how great of a music scene, how wonderful, they'd rather be here, stuff like that. And not to mention, not to forget about Cleveland. So here is where I am shifting what I'm doing a little bit, and Musical Conversations becomes a show on Plaza Midwood Community Radio.
Okay.
And then I start interviewing bands. Local artist Colby Dobbs and his bass player.
Colby's been on, yeah.
Great guy. He's been on here.
Yes.
And David Santendry was the bass player, who happened to also then be working for the television station. And so that's why he's now, he changed jobs and he's, or stations. And I think he's in Dallas now.
Okay. However,
they sat down and talked, plugged in my bass, and he played through my, it was just a fantastic. Again, with Y splitters and gaming headsets and whatever else, but I was able to record it.
It's great.
And then hand that to Plaza Midwood Community Radio for them to rebroadcast. The first show, though, was me just exploring music, finding a mood and following is what I've said.
Okay.
And that first show, remember he had said at least an hour. Well, that first show I handed him was 6 hours long. Cause he didn't know I was asking about the other end.
Good gosh.
But it was fun.
That's even the longest I ever did was like 4 hours. I'm like 6 hours. That's a lot of time. It's a lot of time to fill and talk.
It is. Well, it wasn't just, you see, that's the thing. It wasn't talk. This is a radio show.
You're playing music.
You're playing music.
Gotcha.
And it's sitting there. Meanwhile, this song is playing and trying to figure out what you're going to play next.
So you've got a lot of these people coming on, and then you're getting to meet a lot of people in the local scene.
In the local scene, because I'm diving in because of the Live Limelight project. Steve Coombs and Jody Smith. So we had also a he said, she said type reviewing. Different perspectives.
Is there something that you start realizing about the Charlotte music scene when you start this? Is there anything that's
how
kind of
amazing it is.
Okay.
How wonderful the music is. How do we get the music out there? Well, I have now, I am broadcasting myself. Mm-hmm. It's not an internet radio station yet, but I'm broadcasting myself, and it's being rebroadcast on Plaza Midwood Community Radio, and the Live Limelight webpage, so others can come in and look and then have links to the band pages and things like that.
Nice.
It was great.
Are you still doing it with the Plaza Midwood radio station?
No, they shut down.
Okay. So then
around that time also, 10 years ago, I started publishing a paper in town. Let me go back a few years though. I'm doing Plaza Midwood Community Radio. I am broadcasting on my own and then giving it to Plaza Midwood Community Radio. Yeah. And then I am Live Limelight is shutting down because my friend Steve ends up passing away. Mm-hmm. And whomever took over the page, this is the guy's last passionate work.
Sure.
Life's work, really. And what he really wanted to do. And they end up just taking it down. Thankfully, I have all the old content. I just don't have what they, I don't have his layout.
Okay.
And I don't think I have nearly all the pictures that were up there, but that's beside the point. I start writing for a published zine created by some of the guys out of the Milestone and maybe a few other places called Crowd Surfer. Mm-hmm. And it was a monthly publication. Interestingly enough, I had reached out to, her name's Ann Layton, and she is a publicist out of the Bronx for a lot of progressive rock bands and some folk art acts. She represents Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull. I wanted to get tickets to the show. I reached out to her, and she's like, well, what publication do you write for? Or what terrestrial radio station do you broadcast on? And I didn't have that exactly. So I said to her, Crowd Surfer, I write for them. And knowing first off that online, the only presence online was where you could find this magazine. Mm-hmm. Then I reached out to Crowd Surfer and said, I'd like to write for you, already knowing the guys, and they of course said, sure, what do you got? And I started writing. Ultimately they were giving me like 2 pages. I was writing a lot. Also at this time, I wasn't really running my embroidery business. In other words, I had nothing better to do.
There you go.
Don't tell my wife. Anyway, I was, and so what I did was, write for them. They said that they were shutting down. And I said, what am I supposed to do? And
they said, get a job.
No, that's my wife saying that. He said, the guy who was running the Milestone, John Battleship Hughes, he said, start your own. Mm. And that gave me a moment to go, what? No, okay, maybe. In that order. I mean, I'm interrupting what I'm saying. Yeah, my thought.
Absolutely.
No, wait a minute. Why not?
Why not me?
Why not publish my own? Well, one, because I know nothing about it. I've always wanted to be a radio journalist, in some way, because radio broadcasting is journalism in some way.
Sure.
At least hand in hand. And I went and, did some research on what it is. 2 things. A good publication stands on 3 legs. The first one, and I think the most important, is the layout, the look. Make it look appealing.
Sure.
And have good content. Okay, got that covered. Wonderful. Then you have things like advertising. Getting people to give you money,
right,
to put their name in there or whatever else, their company. And then also distribution. Those 2 legs fell out from under me. I wasn't able to get out there to get the advertisers because I was out there reviewing bands and whatever else. I had an extensive concert calendar. It took days to compile.
Sure.
I covered everybody except for the Uptown Epicenter. I never did that because I didn't think they needed me. Obviously, they might have, since they're no longer there. However, it was a wonderful learning experience. Okay, creating this publication, WTFCLT is what I called it.
How long did it last?
6 issues. In other words, 6 months.
Okay, and why did it fold?
I ran out of advertising dollars. The reason I ran out of advertising dollars is because I couldn't get it out there. Mm-hmm. I would stop by places with stacks of them, but
print
and at the time
it's a dying medium.
Well, this is also 10 years ago.
It was still, that's when everything is starting.
It's really, everybody's moving to the phone.
Yeah.
And
the internet, advertising's on the internet. Why do I need you?
Right.
I mean, people advertising on Craigslist, well, I'm not putting an ad in the paper because that's where they would make a lot of their money is on advertisements in the personal sections and the for sale sections and that kind of stuff.
That's why it doesn't exist anymore, is because that's why it has not been rebooted or restarted, is because I have no way of really covering all of that and doing all of that.
Yeah.
I have wonderful things that I want to say about the Charlotte music scene, and I continue to on Musical Conversations because the pandemic hits. It's the end of 2020.
Right.
And my buddy, I don't know if you've ever met or interviewed him, Gray Revelle.
No.
Gray Revelle, Roman Candles is the band. He is.
I think we touched base a long time ago.
Yeah.
And we never got him on.
Okay. Pursue
Reach
it.
out to
He's
him.
great.
Yeah,
reach out to him,
yeah.
please. When I was doing musical conversations as a weekly show, broadcasting it, recording it, and what I loved about the live version of it was that I would get feedback from people. The interactivity of the internet was wonderful.
Gotcha.
We're talking, and somebody would pop up with a question.
Yeah.
That was listening. Phenomenal. And then we'd be able to go to a song, which is why what I'm doing is not a podcast, but we'll get to that.
So at what point do you start really dipping into being musical conversations? Like the magazine thing starts to fold, and you talked about how the pandemic happens.
Well, what I was saying about Gray Revelle was they had a project called The Happy Infinite.
Okay.
And this meant that every month they would have a new song and eliminate everything else, concentrate on this song. If any member of the band didn't like it, they'd stop it. They'd start just scrap that and go to something new. But every month a new song. And at the end of the year, they had 3 EPs that comprised of the Happy Infinite project. It was interesting how it all ended up connecting, even though they eliminated everything in their mind and went concentrate on that song.
Sure.
But every month, Gray Revelle would come in with the new song, and we talk about that, and we talk about his history, because he had been a musician, his entire life, obviously. But he had lived in New York. He was part of the anti-folk scene. Regina Spektor had babysat his son. It's things like that. Can I move this up just slightly? There we go.
Wow.
Anyway, so what that did was it pushed it to be a weekly show. I was still logging on and broadcasting, but every week I was doing a new show.
Gotcha.
Not that Gray was in every week; he was in every month. But that's beside the point.
Right. Still doing it. What do we do? Tuesday nights?
I was doing it Tuesday nights. I was then saving it, recording it, editing it a little bit, and then sending it to Plaza Midwood Community Radio to be rebroadcast.
Right.
They approached me after about a year and said, "We really like what you're doing, but the only time slot we've had you on is like 1:30 in the morning on Saturday nights or Sunday morning, And can you give us 2 hours? If you give us 2 hours, you can have whatever time slot you want."
Right.
So I thought about it a lot, and I decided, you know what? I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing because I like that, and it's working. And then I'm going to edit it down to 2-hour blocks.
Give it to them.
And then give that to them. So I had part 1, part 2, part 3.
Gotcha.
Each week.
But when you were recording musical conversations, are you recording it all the time? Because like when we spoke and I was on as your guest, you didn't record it. It goes out into the ether and then it's done.
Yes, on the other computer I did hit record.
Oh, okay.
And that's different now, though. What also happened, and again the catalyst of that was Gray Revelle again. He wanted to come in, but the pandemic had hit. I wasn't going to have him at the house, which is where I used to broadcast from.
Right.
My wife was using what was my office, and now I have my embroidery business, which had developed in that time. And so I thought about it and said, all right, well, come in, and I'll set up and broadcast from there. Because again, I'm logging on and broadcasting.
Sure.
And so that was moving location and going. Also, a friend of mine said that he had heard from his Alexa device, Amazon Echo or whatever it is, that you can listen to internet radio stations on this thing. And he said, I'd like to. it's your job to figure it out. Because it's my internet radio station, which, it really wasn't. It was log on and broadcast and log off. And so I pursued that. The TuneIn app allows you to, allows you to do that, but you have to be a 24/7 internet radio station.
Gotcha.
And it's another moment of, I don't want to do, why don't I? Where I stop the thought halfway through, as I said earlier.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to do, yeah, I do. Why not? Why not? And of course, the other thought is, well, what am I going to play?
Right.
It's got to be 24/7. I've got the virtual DJ software. I'm not earning anything on it, so I'm not paying them or anything like that. It's still a home use kind of thing. And I just realized that I have all of this music that's been given to me by local artists.
Right.
And so musicalconversations.org, because .com was taken by somebody else. And we're an organization.
Sure.
What I did though was I took that and created this playlist, and I keep adding to it, of local artists, independent artists, people who have given me their music and their permission to play it.
Sure.
Play their music. Predominantly local and regional artists.
How about interviews? Are you mostly just doing interviews with local and regional?
Mostly.
Yeah.
Mostly. In-person interviews. Musical Conversations has 3 kinds. Salud. There is.
Excuse me. Thank you.
And those are things that can be edited. or not, and include all of that. However, what I was saying is that when I had it and I was diligent about it, of every Tuesday doing Musical Conversations, there are 3 kinds of it. The reverse order of, like, Close Encounters, 3 kinds. The reverse order. Okay. In other words, it's getting more personal, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. The first kind, or less personal. The first kind is very similar to what you and I are doing.
Yeah. Sitting
down in studio, having a conversation.
Sure.
What we had done at when you came in for me, because this is different. The podcast. However.
It is, but it's not.
But it is, but it's not.
I'm not playing music in between and,
but you can, I don't know.
The difference, I think, in between what you do and what I do is that you are much freer. You are just like, where the conversation goes.
Let it go. Yeah.
Yeah. And I try to just kind of keep it a little more focused.
Right.
And so, like we spoke about earlier, like I'm always trying to bring, let's go back to here. Because I'm trying to get your genealogy, as it were, and how things developed. Into what it is.
You gave me a list of questions.
Yeah.
So the first kind of Musical Conversations is in person, in studio. The second kind, it was a phone interview that I would do. Okay. Which the technology was very, very much against me for that, where the phones wouldn't record it and things like that.
Right.
And it was horrible. But I had great conversations with these people. And the first one I had done was with Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull.
That's fantastic.
It was. I have an ID from him that I could send you, and you could interject here if you wanted.
Hi, this is Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull. You're listening to Musical Conversations with Stan.
Anyway, it's cool because I have Ian Anderson recognizing me
and
giving a station ID. That was the first one, and that one was a nightmare because, one, I had a broken ankle. I'm hobbling around the house.
Right.
He had just come into the United States. I didn't know how to record it. Okay, he's about to start his U.S. tour.
Right.
I didn't know how to record it, so I went on and found a webpage like Free Conference Call or something like that.
Okay.
But what has to happen is you have to be the controller to call in, and other people need to be able to call in.
Gotcha.
He, having just arrived in the United States, delayed the night before. They didn't have time for them to have an American cell phone.
Huh.
So he could not call. He needed me to call him, because landlines have toll charges to long-distance calls.
Gotcha.
And he landed in Florida. So how am I going to do this? How am I going to have control and have another line on there?
Right.
So what I did was I had a landline at the time and a cell phone. And I called in on the cell phone to be that extra line. And then I three-way called him on the landline.
Oh my gosh.
And that allowed me to control the recording of it.
It's a little too much.
It was nuts.
The logistics for me.
But when you encounter a situation,
you got to figure it out
like that. You have to figure it out.
Yes, absolutely.
And the interview was set up at it's going to happen at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Well, and those type of people,
wow.
you need to be on your game,
yeah.
and because their schedule is built around, hey, we've got 20 minutes to talk to you
right
before the next interviewer comes.
Yeah.
If you're not ready, they're like, okay,
well, we'll move on.
Yeah,
let's go on.
That's it.
I'm
We're not going to wait
trapped
for you
with that.
Yeah,
and it was a nightmare.
You say you've got
I accomplished it.
What did you call it when he says this is Ian Anderson?
Station ID.
So station ID. So it's not a station ID, but the person who does my top of broadcasting, top of interview, the introduction to the Queen City Music Podcast. His name is Nathan Ritchie, or was Nathan Ritchie. He was a friend, and I used to do martial arts with him. And Nathan did broadcasting for a long time.
I have to ask, what tradition? What your martial arts? What art?
Taekwondo.
Taekwondo. Okay.
And so I would do classes with Nathan, and I did the podcast, and I said, Nathan, I'm doing the podcast. I need somebody to do an intro. Would you be interested in doing it? And he's like, sure. So he did broadcasting, had that broadcasting voice.
The voice, yeah.
So he recorded it for me. And sadly, Nathan got into a motorcycle accident a number of years ago and was killed. And I've thought over the years that maybe I'll change things up and change the intro. And I always bring it back to, no, it's Nathan's voice at the top. I'm just going to leave him there. And he's going to be the intro voice. And since I started the podcast in 2017, Nathan has been the voice of the Queen City Podcast.
My studies in radio, and I'm very, very, very sad and acknowledge Nathan there, that astounding and wonderful voice. The thing is, in radio though, station IDs are incredibly important. Mm-hmm. Introducing a song, WMMS had a large collection of them. I still hear Steve Perry's voice saying, "Hi, this is do you believe?" and then stumbling over the words, and saying, "And you believe I make a living with my voice?" Oh my God, you're listening to MMS, Or Pete Townsend. I would like to remind you that rock and roll will always, 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 always overcome. Eventually. Cool. I remember these station IDs.
Right.
So that's important. But the other aspect of actually in radio is that you have another voice be the voice of the station.
Yeah.
MMS had Len Boom Boom Goldberg, whose voice was so deep and resonant, the way John Gorman, the program director, he put it was, Len's voice was so deep it made Barry White sound like Alvin the Chipmunk. So you get that somebody else being that voice thing.
Sure. So we've talked about, just to bring it back to musical conversations more.
Yes.
We've talked about you doing the interview with Ian Anderson, but mostly you do a lot of in person. Like people are coming to you to talk.
So the first kind is in person. The second kind of musical conversations, and I call it the second kind, is it started off being a phone interview that I edited down and made it seem like the person was in by playing the songs that we talk about, things like that or whatever. And then the third kind is I'm that late night DJ and I'm finding that mood and just following it and going. And I love that because there is so much that can be done with music to express.
Is there a reason? I'm just curious because I know when I came over to do the interview with you, is there a reason you do it at that late hour? Is it because of your working hours during the day? Is it because you're a night owl?
I am a night owl. I am a night owl.
Is it because back in college you used to do the late night shift?
I used to do the late night shift. I remember the late night shift, the BLF Bash on WMMS.
Okay.
Bill Freeman. Larpin, he called it. It's actually Lionel, but he told me if you ever end up in a bar in New Orleans, just ask what a lanyap is. And
Yeah.
That's what he said to me. Ask what a lanyap is, not LARPing, lanyap. And they'll do one of two things. They will either hit you or they will explain it to you. Thankfully, I had that opportunity and the person explained it to me, a lazy ass. So he told me that. I used to call him late at night and just talk because he had nothing else to do.
Right.
You know? And it was kind of cool.
Well, we talked about, go ahead.
That late night is what I love.
Yeah.
I've always loved the late night DJs, the Jim Lads, these great late night voices, and the moods that they're able to impart and follow. And
there was something relaxing about it. Like it's in the evening, you're getting tired, you just kind of chill, and you know.
Yeah. I had a friend, as an embroidery digitizer, we're sitting in front of computers creating the embroidery designs.
Yeah.
A very dear friend of mine, Mark Sweeney, up in Ohio. Mm-hmm. He lives in Middleburg Heights. He was an internet. He would listen on the internet to me, but he is an embroidery digitizer. Mm-hmm. I basically put him in business by selling him his first machine and giving him customers and things. So he's working at night because he just gravitates towards that schedule anyway. Right. And I'm playing songs and he'd throw out a request now and then and I'd get there. But that was also a challenge. If I'm following this mood and he requests something outside of that mood, how am I going to get there? Right. You know, song by song.
I'm curious.
And I love that. I love that aspect of radio.
Just talking to people, because we've talked about how you do a lot of local and regional artists for musical conversations.
And that's the third kind. Yeah.
Do you have people reach out to you generally to come on, or do you have to reach out to people?
My answer is yes. In other words, both.
Yeah.
I have hung out with the drummer Curtis Wingfield.
Yep, Curtis has been on.
Curtis is wonderful, and he's in so many different things and always doing. And I love music trivia, and I've learned from him. He's shocked me with some of the information he's been able to impart. So we are back and forth. He was going to come in this next Tuesday, and then he can't. That's the email exchange that just happened. You know, I got the wrong calendar. I'm sorry, I did, the wrong date. I can't do it this week. Things like that. So it's been a bit of both. I have reached out to people, and I've had people reach out to me.
So it's always strikes me, and maybe it shouldn't, but it does. I don't know if this has happened to you. People don't even know you exist.
Right.
And I don't mean you as a person or me as a person. I mean musical conversations. And when I'll reach out to people or something like that about a Queen City Music podcast coming on and talk, people are like, I didn't even know there was a podcast for the local music scene.
Wow.
Like,
I had heard about you. You had Matt Hedrick on.
Yeah.
And probably talking about Prog for Wishes.
Yes.
Now, I know Matt through his band Abacab. We've become great friends. But Pete Lentz, the lead singer, said, I thought Matt was coming on. He's saying to me, I thought Matt was coming on. No, he's going to come on your show. And I'm like, no, because Matt was, he confused that.
Oh,
here's the other thing that people get confused by is that I own a custom embroidery shop.
Yeah.
I remember in the aughts and early teens years that I remember sitting there going, well, now what am I going to do? My wife is working. Great, but we need more money and I need to do something, right?
Right.
I know two things. I know embroidery and I know radio. I mean, I can do anything. Don't get me wrong. I can go and,
How am I going to make a buck?
Sure, but how am I going to make a buck? Something that I enjoy because I don't want to do something I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
Are
you able to get any sponsors or anything like that for musical conversations?
No. And I don't want to pursue that right now because I am still skirting the lines of straddling the fence, as it were, of licensing. I'm being careful with that.
That's because you do play other music, too.
I do play other music.
Yeah.
During the day when I'm working, it's on. And if I want to hear something, I put it on because I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting in my office listening to music.
I've been fortunate.
And there might be somebody else that might be listening.
Yeah.
More often than not, no. The general throughout the day, though, this is the thing that I had defined it as, is that it is only given. That is the name of the playlist, only given. And I've got like 3,000 songs that, by, all the local and regional artists.
Sure.
People who have given me things, including some of it is from some other artists, national, international, or other places, but ones that have reached out to me saying, no, I give you permission.
Right.
There's a piano player. His name is Soren Beebe from Sweden who reached out to me. There's another musician whose name I can't pronounce because it was written in Hebrew, characters on there, but he had reached out to me and said, I give you permission to play this on your station.
Yeah.
From Israel.
The funny thing is that, and I don't do that that you do, but it's always interesting to me how I'll get emails from people about, coming on the Queen City Music Podcast, or I'm coming through town, and I always feel bad. I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know, thank you for reaching out, but we are just local Charlotte. That's Charlotte. It. I mean, if you're coming to town, hit me up. Maybe I'll be able to come out and check out the show. But for right now, Charlotte, it's just Charlotte.
It's Queen City.
Yeah, it's us.
Yeah. And I could. So the majority of what I play is local and regional artists.
Yeah.
Because the independent artists who have, like I said, with that Happy Infinite project, I was doing a world premiere of this song. Okay.
Yeah.
They have recorded, mixed it, and mastered it, and this is the presentable version of it. And my file collection on that is I have the original one that they gave me, and then the one that was burned in or ripped in from the CD that they handed me. Yeah. And that's it.
Do you get those kind of emails too about people coming on from outside?
I have. Yeah. And I have pursued that.
Yeah.
Because it's not Queen City.
Yeah.
Musical conversations. It's musical conversations. And like I said, I've gotten some really, really cool interviews.
Yeah.
The musicians, I hold Jeff Tate in high regard.
Yes.
I ended up.
Did they come in person? Any of those, the high profile folks?
No. Zoom calls now. And that's what of the second kind has become. Yeah. It used to be a phone interview, and now it's a Zoom call. Jeff Tate, I wanted to interview him, and I didn't know how, but I was going to see him when he toured.
Gotcha.
And I went to the Chop Shop, which is no longer there. And I ended up backstage talking to Rudy Sarzo, the bass player.
Yes.
I have his book in hand, and he signs it for me. Bang your head, Stan. And we start talking basses, and he's interested. He's astounding. Rudy Sarzo.
He's got a career, man. He's a legend.
We're having a wonderful conversation, and he is actually interested in the basses that I have and the instruments and, and things like that. And I have a fretless, and, it's just cool.
Sure.
And Simon Wright, who was the drummer from AC/DC, is also there, and we're talking, great. And then Jeff walks in. And I start the spiel that, you get that set in your head and you're going to talk. Yeah. Jeff, I have an internet radio station, and he interrupts me and says, you've got a great voice for radio. And, I built up, got rid of that starstruckness and everything like that. And I was ready to say that. But when he said that, interrupting me, I was like, everything stopped. What do you do? And I'm like, Jeff, you've got about the greatest voice in metal, and you just got off a stage, because I truly believe he does. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Well, and we just talked about singing, and that was it. So less than 6 months later, or in around, he's back in town doing an acoustic tour at the Neighborhood Theater.
Yes. I was going to go to that. I never got there.
Different band, but I also ended up at the meet and greet talking with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he paid me another compliment. Incredibly. It had only been 6 months, okay?
Sure.
But, Jeff, about 6 months ago, you gave me a wonderful compliment. And he looked at me and he said, you've got a great voice for radio. Yes. I
bet you say that to everybody.
And I'm like, so finally I had the opportunity to interview him, got in touch with the publicist, which is how it goes. And, I had the opportunity to ask him about silent lucidity.
Gotcha.
And I said to him,
Why does it sound like Pink Floyd?
Why does it not? Well, yeah, thank you. But what I said to him though was, what experiences did you have that led you to write that song? And he said, and sincerely, Stan, nobody's ever asked me that in that way. Because, I mean, it's just the big hit.
Yeah,
of course, everybody's going to ask him about that song.
Sure.
But the way I put it, just kind of, so we started talking about lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
And how, at one point you're in the alpha state and can you go deeper? You can bring your consciousness with it, he said, if you decide to, and all of that, and trying to explain it to somebody, and he needed somebody, so he chose, as if it were his child, his child Emily, that he was trying to explain it to, I think. Yeah. And it was a wonderful conversation.
Sure. Well, let me ask you this, just because I'm going off
deep.
on tangents.
Yeah,
talking
tangent.
About what's, because now we're kind of beyond the musical conversations things. I want to talk to you just about interviewing. Is there anybody in town that you haven't spoken to that you would love to sit down and talk with?
I'm working to get Curtis in. I just said that. I do like Curtis Wingfield.
Oh, okay.
We just talked about him. Yeah.
But haven't you talked to him before?
I have spoken with him.
But he's never been on
the show. Yeah.
Got you. Curtis is a really nice fella.
Wonderful. I know him very well from these shows, and we've talked. He stood there. I go to see Jazz is Lead whenever possible. Things like that.
Saw them at Middle C Jazz.
Oh, wow.
And so at that point,
that had to have been an early one, wasn't it?
I don't know. What do you mean by early? It was like one of the first time they played there. Yeah, it was a few years ago. So at that one,
I've only seen them at the neighborhood theater or the Visual Light for Prague for Wishes.
At that chance, I got. I probably should have get them all on at one point, but I just spoke to them individually. So all the guys in that group at one point or another have been on the podcast.
That's great.
So
I know them all separately and collectively as that band.
Yeah.
Troy, I would love to talk with.
Troy was on. I felt really happy to talk to him finally.
And Ron Brendel, I will get him on at some point.
Ron was on, yeah.
I spoke with him fairly recently. He was the bass player for Taylor Winchester playing at Petra's.
Gotcha.
And as the opening act for Fall Lift, who was headlining, and a band from Chapel Hill called A Different Thread. They're wonderful also. However, Ron at that point was telling me that, and I have to bring this up, is that he's also in Thurston Howell.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And let's just acknowledge the loss of Eric Lovell.
Yeah, I never met Eric, and I would have loved to have him on the podcast. It's just one of those folks I didn't get around to at some point yet. Right.
Right. And
it's amazing to me that you bring him up. It was bringing me into my next question for you, was that we spoke about Peyton. I don't know if we were recording when we talked about Peyton Velligan, but it's Peyton always. Velligan, do you find it amazing that you interview somebody? And when I spoke to Peyton the first time she was on the podcast with the guys from Irrational, that was when they were just finishing high school, maybe or still in high school. Yeah. And then I spoke to her now, 7 years later, 8 years later, and her career is completely different. Do you find it interesting that you talk to somebody and then you haven't talked to them for a long time, and how their career has changed, or, the band has changed, or the band that they used to play with is broken up, or they've moved out as, like Pam Taylor was on a few months ago.
I haven't interviewed Pam, but,
and she just moved to California.
Wow.
So I'm like, I'm always like, wow, people's lives happen.
People have moved.
Yeah.
Cy Arden has moved. Abby Kay, the bass player, she moved.
Oh, did she really?
Yeah, she's in Nashville.
Okay.
And I was introduced to her by Eddie Z at
He's somebody I'd like to get on the podcast.
Eddie, I'd love to get on. Yes. And outside of the Charlotte region, also, Ann Layton is the publicist out of the Bronx. She's amazing. She has introduced me to some wonderful people, starting with Ian Anderson.
Yeah.
But Joe Denenzone is his name. Now, Joe also grew up in Cleveland. His father was in the orchestra. Mm-hmm. And Joe is a violinist.
Right.
He essentially grew up at Blossom Music Center, which he knows the place inside and out. He's wonderful there. He moved to New Jersey because there's no employment for a working
Yeah.
musician he found in Cleveland, but he loves
Yeah.
Cleveland. And he became the violinist of New York.
Okay.
He is sitting in the, like, chair 2 or 3,
Right.
in the orchestra pit for Smokey Robinson
There you go.
at, like, the Lincoln Center or something, okay? He's just a member of this. And number 1 looks at the charts, looks at everything, and says, wow, I should have brought my Stratospherius, which is a very cool comment.
Sure.
Joe looked at him and said, I'm going to name my band that. And so the band Stratospherius is his progressive rock band.
There you go.
He also has Joe Denon's own Trio, which is a jazz band with a stand-up bass player and things. They covered Bodhisattva in an instrumental version, but violin, bass, and drums. Wonderful. He then, with Stratospherius, did Prague Fest, which happens in New Jersey. They filmed it. They showed it. Then the violinist of Kansas has to step down. They reached out, and so now Joe is the violinist in Kansas, the band. And I've been talking to him since 2012.
Right.
Okay, this is on, outside of Charlotte.
Yeah.
But I also had a wonderful connection with him because he's 10 years younger than me, so I know what he grew up with and,
Sure.
and all of that. The bands, the Michael Stanley Band out of Cleveland.
Yes.
I have interviewed Michael Stanley, by the way, also, and that was great.
Is he still around? Didn't he pass away?
He passed away.
Yeah.
But I interviewed him like in 2014.
Who is that great guitar player that comes out of Cleveland that everybody seems to mention?
Neil Zaza?
No, there's another one. It'll come to me.
Okay.
It'll come to me. I'm curious, you like me.
So I've watched that career change.
Yeah.
And I've listened to his jazz, I've listened to his progressive rock, I've listened, to all this other music of his, and it's phenomenal.
So like me, you're a one-man operation.
Yes.
Is there any particular things that you struggle with doing the one-man operation?
Yes.
What
I am not able to move what I do to what you do as a podcast.
What do you mean?
I record these shows.
Yes.
I try to. And make sure that they're recorded. Sometimes I've had technical difficulties and lost it.
Yeah.
And I find that I don't have time to edit. And I need to edit in order to podcast.
Right.
I spoke with a copyright attorney, trademark attorney,
Okay.
who said your interpretation of the law is a valid one.
What I'm not sure. What do you mean?
I'm really not sure what she meant either.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because
Is that because you're playing other people's music?
Because I'm playing other people's music and
Besides the local people.
Yeah.
I just take
And
it.
so
yeah.
with that statement in mind, I still can't. I have to edit. I know that there's an editing process. When I was doing musical conversations Tuesday nights, as long as I needed to, and everything like that, and then box it up, and I had to edit like crazy to send it to Plaza Midwood Community Radio, to the point I was crashing my computer quite often,
right,
trying to make sure that these things, and technology changed and everything like that, but I was using outdated software to begin with.
Okay.
Editing it down is the thing, and that's what I'm struggling with. That's what I really want to do, is if I had someone else working with me or something like that, I would work with them to edit a few of them.
Okay.
They would have to understand the software a little bit better, because that's probably the one thing that's preventing me from stepping up to that point, is that I don't know the software well enough to do the editing.
Okay.
And everybody who does it says it's easy. Because it is easy, right?
It is. Well, I mean, there's a learning curve to it.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's Pro Tools, what I used to do, or me doing Studio One now, whatever you're doing, there's some type of learning curve to whatever you're going to do.
Right.
But once you get over the learning curve, it's not too bad. And the other thing is that you just have to not be overwhelmed by it and say, oh, okay, I know I want to be able to edit, cut and paste, put it back together, and then export the file.
Right.
If that's all you need to do and you don't need all the extra fluff, that's not very, it's not, the learning curve's not too bad.
Right.
So-
I don't know how to get to that point.
Yeah.
I think is one thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what software I should use. I'm using Audacity to just record it. And I save it as an MP3. I don't even save it as the Audacity project. I don't have enough Audacity to do that.
And I would feel bad for you. I would feel bad for you because knowing how long your conversations could be.
Oh yeah.
I would, oh my gosh, the editing process for you would be crazy because you would have to sit and listen to a 4-hour conversation and figure out what parts you're going to cut out if it's just the music, or if it's a certain part of the conversation that you don't feel that you want to talk about.
Doesn't need to be.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
When I was rebroadcasting it on Plaza Midwood Community Radio.
Yeah, but were they still as long as they were?
They were as long as they needed to be. Really, 3 hours. 9 to midnight is usually what people would do, but a lot of times it ended up being twice that, all the way to 3 a.m.
Because that's why I started to go to long form, is because I would do an hour and a half or 2-hour interview with somebody, and I would cut it down to 45 minutes. And after a while, I was like, this is taking way too long.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot easier for me to edit in everything I need to put in.
Yeah.
And not cut out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I was going crazy. For a while, I was cutting out breaths and all this kind of other stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just going to leave this in the way it is. And unless there's something in there that somebody contacts me, he's like, hey, Matt, we talked about this happening. Can we just cut that out? I'll be like, absolutely. And I always,
yes.
I don't know if you do it with people come in, but I always talk to people at the beginning. I'm like, look, I'm not here for drama. If there's something that you don't want to talk about, just say you don't want to talk about it now, and I won't even touch on it. And people have been like, yeah, I don't want to talk about this era of my life with this band, or I don't want to talk about when I lived in whatever, Kansas City.
Right.
Right.
I
don't want to do that.
I think interviewing is astounding, though.
Yeah.
I think it is amazing and I find myself going there.
Yeah.
In the weirdest locations, or times. Okay. I never wanted to be in an interview. I never even thought of it as a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. But I always appreciated getting the information from people.
Sure.
Okay. I always appreciated the Midnight Special, I think it was, with Martin Povich.
Okay.
Who was originally from Cleveland, by the way, also. But he would interview, or maybe he was on Don Kirshner's rock concert.
Gotcha.
Still, how he would interview people. And I read his book, and he talks about how he was working for the classical radio station, WCLV, and Leonard Bernstein was coming in. So he had to pick him up at the train station, drive him. So there he is in his piece of junk car that's falling apart with Leonard Bernstein, who's like, call me Lenny. Call me Lenny, and that's how he ended up just being the interviewer.
There you go.
He has a wonderful book, The Art of Interview.
I haven't read it. I'll have to write that down.
I will. I have 2 copies. One is signed to somebody else that I bought online, and so I'm going to keep that one. I'll give you the other one because I need to share this information. Finn, when you're done with it, give it back. If you're not ever done with it, I understand. Because I don't like libraries for that simple fact that, what do you mean you want the book back? I'm going to go back to it at some point.
I do have a stack. Just for transparency, I do have a stack of books that I have been meaning to get to.
Oh, the TBR list. Yeah. To be read. So interviewing, that's a thing.
Yeah.
I want to talk to people. I like to talk to people.
Yeah.
And I'm accused of, a little too much sometimes. My friend that I go to concerts with is like, Stan just wants to get kicked out of another venue soon, right now, whatever. And usually, and it's, come on guys, you gotta move. Meanwhile, I'm in conversation with someone. However, I remember back at Kent State University, and a band came through that was playing at Filthy McNasty's there. And this band contacted the station, sent some information up prior to their show, and wanted to show up and do the interview. And I'm like, you want to what? I had no idea what to do. Wow. Absolutely. I really never even thought about it. And, of course, I had sat down And let me put it this way, that I prepared myself completely to have a nice mellow night, maybe playing a lot of Pink Floyd.
Sure.
Yeah, I was not in the headspace to do an interview.
That's funny.
And so I backed away from that, and I had this other guy do the interview there. And they called themselves Swamp Rock or something like that, and they were, you know, whatever. I mean, it was 1983.
Well,
So, one other point on that, though, to continue, is that I found that because I interview so much, that it's become such a part of me, that I am coming out to consciousness after a procedure. The 50-year gift, that as some call it, all the way up and in and through, whatever. And I'm coming to consciousness, though. And the nurse is there talking with my wife and saying things, and here he is. And I looked at her and I said, what's the strangest thing somebody's ever said when they came to? She looked at me and said, really? Okay. And sets the clipboard down, sits down and says, oh my God. We tell this one woman that we're going to tell her husband, that she's coming to and she's in recovery. And she goes, oh my God, no, you're not. That's not my husband. That's my boyfriend out there. Strange. And all of these things that she said were like this, but she reviewed like 5 different events.
That's funny.
And I just went into interview mode, asking these questions and started talking. That's when I realized I'm an interviewer.
Well, when you're interviewing, I think one of the things is that you have to learn when to listen.
Yes.
When to intervene.
Yeah.
Where to prod.
Yes.
Where not to prod.
I have another story on this.
Yeah.
Because it's not solely Charlotte based.
Sure.
I'm talking with publicists.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who the publicist was, or who I was trying to connect with at this point. But I'm talking with the publicist, and she says, can you send me a list of questions?
Okay.
You sent me questions.
Yes.
Matthew, to get here, everything is good. I understand. But musical conversations, I didn't send you questions.
No.
And that's not the way it works. It could.
Right.
It could.
We did speak on the phone prior.
We spoke on the phone prior.
And I had no idea where we were going or what we were going to talk about.
And I like that, though.
And that's fine.
However,
style.
She asked, do you have a list of questions? Can you send me? And I'm like, yeah. Hi, how you doing? And then we go from there. Yeah. Because I'm kind of proud of that aspect of it. Yeah. It is different. And I could hear it in her voice, kind of wanting to back away.
Right.
We'll see what we can do. I mean, he's busy. And so I turned it and I asked her questions. I said, well, who else do you work with? And that conversation went a little bit. And then she says, I asked her, how long have you been in this? How'd you get into publicity?
Yeah.
And we were talking, and like 20 minutes later, I interrupted her deep in this conversation. And I said, that's what I do. And she went, I could hear that. Just, well, let's see if we can get him. You said Tuesdays?
Wow.
Yeah. Because it's a completely different approach. Right. I'm not saying it's better. It's just different. And that's the beauty of it, though.
Yeah, there's some.
Yet,
go ahead. Go.
For you giving me questions, the reason I brought it all up is because I knew that this was the question. Do you want to be an interviewer? No, I never wanted to be an interviewer. You see?
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things that I do it because I want people to understand the flow of where things are going to go.
Yes.
I don't want to just, I personally, I am curious to find out about them.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you're not. I'm just saying I have certain things that I want to find out about, and related to them as an artist so that I can also think about and create a conversation where, because it's an interview, but it's also me and well, doing it yourself, it becomes, you interject yourself into the conversation because it is a flow.
Conversation. That's why it's musical conversations for me.
There is a flow back and forth when you're talking to another person.
Yes.
So if you're having a musician, and me being a musician, I'm going to ask them stuff that maybe they might not have been thought about.
Right.
Like we spoke about Peyton being on. If you listen to the episode with Peyton Velligan on it, Peyton and I spoke about her experience in music school.
Yeah.
And that was a shared experience that we both had. Shameless plug, episode 97 of the Queen City Music Podcast.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And Peyton,
are we 99?
We are going to be 99. Yeah.
That's absolutely wonderful. I think I'm at the cusp of something new, aren't I?
We're going to hit 100.
Yeah.
Which is kind of scary
That's
to
cool.
me to think that like this year will be episode 100. Technically, I have over 100 episodes already.
Of course.
But I did not count the episodes I did during COVID as episodes. They were extras.
Okay.
So I did some extras called the COVID Files.
Gotcha.
And I spoke to musicians an extra time each month to find out what musicians in town or how they're
doing,
navigating what was going on with them during
It's
COVID.
important.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. So,
and so, for example, all of what you just said is exceedingly important. And as an interviewer, I would have interjected something like this also. But it is it is a conversation back and forth.
Yeah.
Does what you just said pertain to me and what I'm doing with musical conversations?
Yeah.
It's kind of adjunct to it. Yet I don't want to sound like I'm putting it down in any way. It's exceedingly important.
Sure.
Because that's the way we communicate.
Yeah.
It's a conversation. I love it. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Do you find it odd that I'm glad I met you and I've gotten to know you, but do you find it odd that I or you might be the only people in town doing this as the Charlotte music scene has gotten bigger? Like, I don't know anybody else.
I know that Dan Costin does some interviews. He's a photographer in town.
Okay.
Wonderful, great, but a lot of times it's with others outside of the region. And things. And it's usually like a Zoom and YouTube thing. He is also a music producer and has, something that he's promoting right now is that he got the band Strawberry Alarm Clock to get back together.
Okay.
And he's producing this new music from them.
Gotcha.
I really look forward to that, and I look forward to talking with him about it. Another thing that he's working on is an album they found. Follow this one. The Marx Brothers.
Yes.
There is going to be an album by Harpo Marx. And it's not just the bike horn honking. Because he was the silent one.
Yes.
Honk, honk, and that was it. No, he's singing. How much of a treasure is that?
Interesting.
Anyway, he does interviews. Greasy Keys.
Yes, Greasy's doing them too.
He's doing stuff also.
He's back.
But I don't know, Charlotte Beats or something like that.
Yes, he's doing Beats. I was on actually Beats a while back.
I look forward to. I have not yet had him. I've known him for a long time. Jason Atkins.
Yeah.
And his wife Shell. I'm in the middle of reading her book.
Yeah.
I read slow.
There is a thing.
Sleep Like Starfish is her book. Rochelle Atkins. I highly recommend it. And when I'm a little farther into it or done with it is when I'll have them in. But I'm really surprised that I haven't had him in yet.
There's also a thing called pod fade, which is a real thing where a lot of people get involved with doing podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
And they start out with maybe the best intentions, like I'm going to do this, and then they realize either it's a lot of work, or they don't become Joe Rogan overnight and make $1 million.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't want to do this.
Right.
So most podcasts only last like 5 or 6 episodes, something like that.
Wow.
Maybe 10.
Well, and I've had, interest in doing the show, Musical Conversations, which I said I'm going to do it every Tuesday night, 9 to midnight at the least. Okay. Right. Whether it be the first kind, second kind, or third kind.
Yes.
And I found that Yeah, it's Tuesday night. New Daredevil episode is coming out. Come on, let me go watch that. No, it's not going to work out. I don't have a guest in. What do I want to do? Do I want to, when I was doing it out of my own house, sure, great. But I'm doing it out of my shop. I have to drive home.
Sure.
I'm tired. I've been there all day.
Yeah.
All of these other things. Life is happening.
That's why I do these on the weekend.
Yeah.
And, it helps if you were mentioning, I mean, for me, it really helped people like, how have you done it for so long? And I'm like, I do it monthly and it fits my schedule. That's it.
Yes.
Like, I'm not going to try to do it. I can't do what you do once a week. It would be too much. Editing, putting it all together, posting it, promoting it. It's just too much. Once a month is perfect.
I do have, she's our housemate and bestie. Heather she's an intuitive card reader. Mm-hmm. And
what is that?
A tarot card reader.
Got you. Okay. All right. I thought that's what it was, but I never heard it named as intuitive.
Yes. And 2017 musical conversations. I had nothing better to do. I'm doing it. I'm doing embroidery designs now and then.
Yeah.
And in the house is where my embroidery machine is, taking up space in the dining room.
Yeah.
Not running because I'm not leaving the house. I'm not going and selling or anything like that. So it was right around the time that I was working to move my shop out. And I ended up moving into a screen printers.
Sure.
Which was a terrible move, wonderful move and a terrible move because the quality of the embroidery went down because screen print equipment creates heat and humidity and embroidery machines don't like either of those.
Sure.
So thread starts sticking to itself and then you're skipping stitches and, it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was great because it got me to where I am now.
Gotcha.
However, it's a nice stepping stone. It's the beginning of 2017. And Heather had been a guest on Musical Conversations because, again, I'll talk to anybody about anything.
Sure.
And she loves music, and we had started going to concerts together. She's now one of my concert buddies. And I said, or she said to me, what I want to do is I want to do a card reading for the year. I'm like, you know what? What the hell? I've got people listening. They'll ask questions. Come on,
Yeah.
And I'm familiar with that whole culture. She's January. She does the first card and does her intuition and talks about the card and what January is going to look like, she says. And I'm sitting there listening and I go, and it hits me and I go, I have a song for you. And whatever song it was described exactly what she just said. Completely. Now, during the 90s and stuff like that, I wasn't doing radio. We touched on this earlier. But what I was doing was making mixtapes on various themes.
Right.
So this tied into that mentality to where, a radio show, the late night radio show of following this theme kind of thing and making it sound good.
Sure.
It's the order of the songs. It's all of that. So I play a song. February, she does the reading for that month. It's still in the same show. And I'm like, I got another song for you. Finally, it's like 3 hours later. She's done the year. It's gone back and forth. Sometimes it's 2 cards. Sometimes it's 2 songs. So, things like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of it because it was 9 years ago, a little over. And we look at each other like, what the hell just happened? Really?
That's great.
So we came up with a show called Tarot Tunes.
Okay.
And that was happening on Thursday nights. So I've got Tuesday nights musical conversations and then Thursday nights Tarot Tunes.
Nice.
And I'm broadcasting out of my house. I'd log on and broadcast and then, log off. It wasn't a radio station yet. It was just a show or 2 shows, 2 different shows. I had nothing else to do. I was already on that late night schedule. Tarot Tunes ended up starting at 9:00 because that's what Musical Conversations had done.
Sure.
Oh my God. When I then started the business really going and everything, it became a little bit overwhelming. And so, not this past week, the week before is when we did a Tarot Tunes episode. I think last Tuesday or maybe. I had somebody else in. I don't remember any of it now. It's been a while.
Okay.
You know, and Musical Conversations as a show has not been as diligent. This podcast, Podfade, I think is how you put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And the interesting thing is it'll come back because it's still an internet radio station that's always there.
Well, you can.
So I can diminish my involvement and then build it back up. I do have some people who are like, oh my God, internet radio, I'd love to come on.
Yeah.
Do I want them sitting at my desk? No.
I also have that added,
You know.
for me to keep things going and push. I mean, I do have a couple of sponsors and I have local partners that I partner with.
I have none of that.
Who push that. And that's
because
just,
it's a .org.
Yeah.
I think is the core part of it and all that means.
I just try to get as many people involved because I mean, the reason is honestly to get the word out.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the more people that are involved with it or know about it, but still to the point of, I said earlier, I do this and I talk to people like, oh, I didn't even know there was somebody who talked to local musicians in Charlotte.
Right.
And I'm like, wow.
And that ties into the other thing I was going to say now that, thank you, is that I, as a custom embroidery shop who works with people who are screen printers and all of that, I have bands who have gotten this new run of shirts.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I could have done that and I probably would have done it better. Or they went out and bought baseball caps or something like that. I'm like, what about me?
There you go, yeah.
What about me? I'm not doing Musical Conversations to promote that. They happen to be separate things, happen in the same location.
Well, Stan,
but
that's something we can have a conversation with. We can be local partners, and I'll help promote you.
Well, they forget. They know me as the music guy. They don't know me as the custom embroidery shop.
We'll talk about that afterwards.
Which is interesting.
Well, that's the
it's
thing.
interesting,
You got to
though.
partner with people.
But it intrigues me.
I try to keep at least my sponsors are two different things.
Yes.
So we've got Midwood Guitar Studio.
Fantastic.
And so I wouldn't go out and try to get another guitar shop on. And then we have Goldie's, who is our newest sponsor. And
I finally was there to see Peyton.
Live music and
Jake.
restaurant, and they're great too.
Yeah.
And they've just come on to be our sponsor, and we're happy to have them. But to that point, I wouldn't get another live music venue on.
Right.
I tried. Some folks don't respond. But I will say one of our local partners is another live music venue. That's the Evening Muse, and they're wonderful folks.
Don and Lori are amazing.
Yes.
Also,
I'm still trying to get them on the podcast. That's all.
Also, me too. Also, let's
Maybe we
let's
could
have
do
a
a
race.
co-interview to get them both together.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Here's another key thing on them, though.
Yeah.
They're from Parma, Ohio.
Oh, really?
They are also Ohioans, native.
If I knew that, I could have tried to milk that.
Yeah, no.
Look at that.
If you go to the Evening Muse and you walk in and you see the refrigerator that's off to the right, there's a Michael Stanley Band stage pass, just the ticket itself.
Yeah.
That's a magnet applied there. I went to Line Level Music and bought one, and they gave me two of them. I gave one to them because they needed one because they've got so much Cleveland stuff in there.
Oh man.
You know.
That's fantastic.
I absolutely love the Evening Muse.
It's a great venue.
The sound is perfect for me. I feel of any venue in town, I think that is the best. But it is a true listening room.
Yes.
I sat there. The last show I saw, I really think it was March 14th or 15th, was at the Evening Muse, and it was Eddie Z. And his band, and Abby Kay was the opening act. I walk in and she's playing Iron Maiden's The Trooper. I'm blown away. But then the first show that I went back to was at the Evening Muse, and it was Britt Drozda, who used to live in Davidson but now lives in Florida and comes through, and the Evening Muse is her home away from home, really.
Honestly, she's
amazing too.
One of the nicest concerts I have gotten to see there.
Let me finish one comment before you go there, and I apologize.
That's right.
But I sat there in the Evening Muse after over a year away from music, live music. I am in tears looking around going, I think this is one of the most perfect places on the planet. I love this here.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't experienced it for so long, but also thanks to the pandemic, but also I'm sitting there and it's perfect and if anybody starts talking, they're like, hey, would you take that conversation outside?
Yeah.
It's a listening room. Sorry about that. I had to share that.
One of the nicest concerts I've seen there, and it was a few years back, Pierre Pinsoussan, French fingerstyle guitar player, and everybody sat quietly. He had his sound set up, and it was beautiful. I was like, wow, this is a really great little space to just hear music.
I have been there and I've heard Grown Up Avenger stuff, local band who, they're loud. My ears rang for 3 days. It's before the ear, before the ear protection.
Yeah.
And all of that.
That's a thing, man.
It is a thing.
Anywhere I go now, any concerts, I got ear protection on.
Goldies, the lead singer Karen from Landslide, and Jake, the guitarist from Landslide, Jake from all kinds of other things, Jake Haldenwang, whom I've known for nearly 20 years.
Has he been on the Musical Conversations?
A few times, and it's been a long time.
Yeah.
So is his father, John.
I think I reached out to him to come on, and then it never.
They were doing an acoustic duo thing.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. Then the High Moods, Peyton's the lead singer.
Yeah, I didn't even know she was doing that. That's one thing we didn't talk about.
With members of Euphonic and a few other bands.
Yes.
In there.
You know, the drummer from Euphonic, Mike, he's actually a music educator like me for Charlotte Mecklenburg.
That's fantastic.
He's a great guy. I got to get Mike on, and maybe the guys from Euphonic can come on at some point.
And at that point, I'm putting in the ear protection, the loops, and I see her. Karen looks at me, points, and is like, "Yeah, the ear protection,
Yes,
smart.
You got to.
Yes,
you got to." I tell you what,
my other response to that when somebody says you've got to is like, "What? I'm sorry, what?" Just to mock it, Seriously.
One of the struggles I get, I don't know if it happens to you, is when you're trying to reach out to people and you try to get them on and you try to schedule it, man. And it's like,
it's tough.
They're all like, well, I shouldn't say they all, but some people are like, yeah, man, I'd love to come on. I'm like, okay, well, here's when I'm doing it. Here's how it works. And then dead silence. You don't hear back from them. I'm like, it just drives me crazy. I'm like, all I'm trying to do is give you a platform to promote yourself.
Yes.
Like,
yes. And that's why
is that difficult? I don't know if it's difficult for musicians. I don't know if their schedules are that good. I don't know if they don't think it's important. I don't know.
Well, I do it Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
Because I determined that's when music was supposed to be released.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it used to be.
Right.
So many times standing at the record store door at midnight, Monday night, going into Tuesday, waiting for that. Okay, it's Tuesday, and then it's going to be released, and I'm going to buy that record, whatever record it might have been. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Tuesday just ended up working, and then starting at 9:00, I figured musicians' hours.
Yeah.
It just worked out. Everybody else in the house was asleep.
Yeah.
I can sit down and have this conversation.
Yeah, it's.
And so it stuck that way. And people are like, well, why then? Well, these are the reasons. Yes, you're right. It is difficult to get people in for that because what do they do Wednesday morning things?
I just think also musicians are very flighty. Like it's like, okay.
I also tell them to show up at 8:00 invariably. Show up at 8. And there they are, more often than not. It's not a hyperbole like all of them, but more often than not, it's 10 to 9 that they're showing up.
Yes.
Yes, I get that.
People all
and
the time.
I tell them this. That's why I said 8:00. So you guaranteed to get here by 9.
Yeah. I have people, I tell them noon.
Yeah.
And people like sometimes, I'm running behind. Blah, blah. Like always, like, okay.
Yep. I was stopped at a light trying to figure out how I could call. The light went green. That's why I didn't call to tell you I was on my way. And, but I don't want to, because I don't want to interact with the phone.
Sure.
You
just get to the, it's just.
Meanwhile driving because I'm not stupid. And
it is just one of the frustrating things that I think talking to you that we can both kind of
these frustrating
bond on and be like, it's one of those
I've done
things
that.
you try,
right,
you know,
right.
And musicians are very.
I want to play their music. What they did was they took the files and burned them to a CD. So all I get when I pull it in is track 1, track 2, track 3. What order is it in? Oh, I don't know. We haven't determined the order yet.
Yes.
It ended up being an alphabetical order. So what song of yours is number 1 alphabetically?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't determined whether the song starts with the letter A. It's A something, whatever the term is, or is it just the term? You know, I've gotten that.
That's
and
great.
then I'm stuck. I don't know what to play.
Right.
And wait a minute. That's right. This other song ended up coming up first.
Oh man.
Because alphabetical order or whatever else.
Absolutely.
And it's just, thanks. However, or the funniest for me is mic stands and lead singers who don't know how to work it.
I found there's a lot of musicians who don't know how to.
This is part of your instrument.
They're used to singing.
They're
used to singing. They're not used to speaking into it.
Speaking into it, right.
So I have people, they'll go all the way back here to talk.
Oh, yeah.
Is that close
Totally.
enough? I'm like, no, you kind of need it up a little bit more closer.
Act like you're eating it. It's that close.
Yeah. Because I want to hear you.
I want to hear you.
Oh my
Which
God.
is why I do like the headphones, because I can hear myself step away from it. I can hear myself come close.
Yeah, that's also part of it.
And it's, I don't do that because I want the room, I guess. I don't have it.
I add
set
in a
up for
room
that.
noise a little bit later. I'll do some reverb sound and add a little
Neat.
bit and get a little in to get some ambiance. But it's not much. It's really little because you don't want a lot of echo and
Right.
that kind of thing in it.
Yeah.
So-
I never did any post production like that.
Yeah.
One time I tried panning one person on one side, the other person on the other side. And that doesn't work.
I've got a lot of post-production.
That is inept. Oh, that was on the recording end of it. That's what's starting in broadcasting.
Yeah.
And that was rather inept. It does not work.
Yeah.
You'd think it would. Then one person over here, another person over there. No.
I've got EQing, compression, everything else.
I was
going
asked
on
about
to
that by Neil Brewer, the sound guy who was at Amos' South End.
Yeah.
And he sat down and he's like, dude, do you use any compression? I'm like, no. Just no.
Yeah.
No.
And then I also go in and I'll add some other stuff in there.
Here we
besides
are
everything.
on the technical end of things.
Yeah.
It's pretty deep. And I get musicians, then we've gone onto gear. I love talking gear.
Yeah.
And some of it I follow, some of it I don't. You know. But I love talking about that. And I've had people listen, they would stop themselves and say, oh my God, I mean, this is so sailing over the heads of your listeners. Nobody, you know, I'm like, you're enjoying telling me this. Continue, please tell me. And, I told you that I know Joe Denenzone of, Kansas now. And so seeing them and then going backstage for the after party.
Sure.
Which is not just to gloat about it. It's cool. but, Rich Williams, the guitarist, has been the guitarist in Kansas all along. And I told him a couple of things. One is that at Prague for Wishes, the Genesis tribute band did their song Magnum Opus.
Okay.
He looked at me and he says, you know, anytime that comes up on the set list, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? And it's got like 34 time signature changes and stuff like that. Right. I mean, it's just baffling. But I was asking him about the last song on the other side of the record. Again, I'm going to record. The concept there is, Miracles Out of Nowhere, and his guitar in one section, the sustain, is just absolutely beautiful. But you have to really listen to it and listen at volume to hear it. But I've known this since, you know, the record came out. And I'm like, that's the sustain. He said to me, it's the pickup. And I got that pickup from Steve Hackett of Genesis.
There you go.
And I'm like, So everything does come back around. How cool is that? All right. But my friend is standing there next to his wife who says, oh my God, he's talking gear. We're never getting out of here. I'm really proud of that moment.
See, I can talk about certain types of gear, but I am not, like, even geeking out over guitars. I am not that guy who knows every little inch of the guitar, like the pickup.
I walked upstairs.
I was just like, I don't know.
I walked upstairs and in here and saw the acoustic that's over there, the double neck.
Yeah.
Ovation.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous. 12 string and 6 string. What did I say? I sat down saying, wanted dead or alive. The acoustic version that everybody seems to say is, the Unplugged series started from that.
Yeah.
No, they were separate events, but they had already started Unplugged. However, that's the one that they played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think Richard Sambora's is different. I think he has the 6 string on top and the 12 is on the bottom.
Fascinating.
A little bit different. Yeah.
But still, gear. I looked at it. I noticed it. I have to talk about it.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a musician or
the
musically
oud over
inclined.
here, which is not a lute.
Not a lute. No.
But it's very lute-like.
Yeah.
If it were fretted,
don't even
it'd
look
be
at the pedal board over there. Too much junk on there.
But I love it. I love what's able to be done.
There's so much to kind of like get into sometimes with people when you're into music or into recording or something like that. There's just so much to kind of like dig into, and I don't. If you're not into it, that part of the conversation kind of goes in one ear and out the other.
Sometimes my experience is that the music fans that I have that are my listeners regularly that do communicate with me, because I have a lot of listeners that aren't communicating with me, because it's a live broadcast and I am able to see the IP addresses.
I love that.
Accept, and so I get an idea of when somebody's listening from wherever in the world.
Right.
Okay. And I do have a regular listener in France. Seriously.
It's nice.
Tony, he's Quancy is where he lives. And he communicates with me. But if somebody VPNs, I don't see them.
Right.
Now, for you,
I don't know.
It's up, and who downloads it? Or watches it, or hears it, or whatever. How do you get it up there? I'm on the web.
It's posted to a a server site.
Okay,
and it gets blasted out everywhere else.
Right.
But I mean,
and that's the next step for me is I have to find that, and I have to
see. I don't know who listens. Yeah. I only have two. One time I was playing a gig and I left the gig, and as I was leaving, there's a group of people leaving, and one of the ladies was like, "Hey, by the way, I love the Queen City Music Podcast." I was like,
"That's awesome!
What? That's awesome!"
So, back to Peyton.
Yeah,
invited me. Now, my embroidery business is Make It So Enterprise.
Yeah.
Okay. Obvious Star Trek reference there to most people, but Peyton, she knows Ethan, who does a podcast on Weird Al Yankovic.
Okay.
That's how she knows Ethan. Ethan also does a podcast on, and Ethan had seen Weird Al last year 20 or 30 times, Peyton had said.
Okay.
So got to know them very well. Also does a podcast about William Shatner.
Okay.
Also does a podcast about Will Wheaton and
other
podcasts.
Things. You must be.
Oof. Yeah, that's all he does.
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, I have yet to speak to him on that level.
Is he a Charlotte based?
No, he's like up in Vermont.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That's why he does 10 million.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Nothing better to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why'd that family have so many kids? Nothing better to do. They lived on a farm. Okay. That's an Amish joke, by the way. And
somebody's got to help out.
Yes. And growing up in Northeast Ohio, just a bit to the east of it, you've got the Amish, and so there. I had to tie that back in. Ethan, when William Shatner just a few weeks ago came through town playing, and this was at Elvin's Auditorium, playing Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. And then afterward, there was an interview on stage.
Yes.
And the other option was to get into the meet and greet line.
Yeah.
Ethan was the interviewer.
Oh, that's great.
So Ethan knows Peyton. Peyton gets in touch with Peyton and says, hey, do you want to come to this thing? Bring your family and anybody else. Peyton reaches out to me. I end up going. I had 2 tickets, but nobody else had because it was last minute also.
Yeah.
And so, and on a Wednesday, and here, let's go to this. So I end up sitting to dinner with Ethan, not William Shatner, but, to dinner with Ethan. This does have a point and connects, by the way.
Okay.
And I, got to talk with him about what I do. He saw Make It So Enterprise. He's like, I love that. I gave him the business card. Talked about, I'm doing the internet radio station rather than the podcast version. The same conversation basically that we've had. We go to Ovens Auditorium. We watch the film. And, the key thing on that is that he has turned his interview style to be a little bit more directed, more so than you're doing with me.
What do you mean directed?
He has his own questions that he wants to use to prompt William Shatner to do things, to say things.
Gotcha.
Okay. I wrote down asking about his work with Billy Sherwood, who's now the bass player in Yes, and who's a producer and has worked with William Shatner. I wrote down on the card asking if he has plans to work with Billy Sherwood anymore or anything like that. I don't remember how I worded it. Ethan is up there on stage in front of Ovens, all the people in Ovens Auditorium with William Shatner. And he says, our first question is from Stan, and he mispronounces my last name in some way that I can't do because I know how to pronounce my name, of Make It So Enterprise. Okay. Yes, I'm waving my arms at this point. But he asks a question that I did not ask, but it's about the cast members. And, of course, that prompts William Shatner to talk about DeForest Kelley and Leonard Nimoy and, wonderful sure. Prompt. The next one is from Peyton Rose, he says. And this is, very directly, it's probably the most important question of all. Boxers or briefs? William Shatner, without missing a beat, of which I've already lost, says, depends. Prompted again. Okay. And I said to Peyton right then and there, first off, that wasn't my question. And second, I'm glad he didn't apply that question to me. And then he says the next one from Michelle Van Sickle, Peyton's mother's maiden name, asks another question. And then from Chris Velligan, that type of interview is interesting. He knows how to prompt and to bring these things out. Sure. Here's the key point. He also does the show with the podcast about Weird Al, Ethan and Dave, 2,000 Inches or something like that, which is a Weird Al reference. Al, when he contacted him, said, no, I love this. Well, which one did you hear? No, I've been listening to all of them. And you have no idea that he had no idea that that's happening. Yeah. Absolutely none.
You have no idea who's listening.
Yeah.
That's doing
Here's a key thing. Here's a funny thing that Ethan also was able to do that I'm quite envious of. And that is that William Shatner has another book about Star Trek. He's written many on Star Trek, but from the fans' perspective. And an interview that he had done was with Mr. Al Yankovic, who came over to Shatner's house to do this interview. Well, they had set it up with all the lights and everything like that because it's also going to be a documentary type thing and then publish the book, and which is he's done before many times. But Ethan had the opportunity to fly in. And so he's in the room hearing this. The two people that he's talking about most are talking to each other and interviewing. That's kind of cool. So now Ethan and I are going to work together on something. And so maybe Musical Conversations will be a podcast.
That would be awesome. I hope you do, man.
Yeah.
I hope you do.
Have you, can I go business for a moment?
Sure.
Have you thought about having a Queen City podcast swag of some type?
I have, but I don't know if anybody would buy it. I've thought about it more this year. I don't know if anybody would buy it.
I see people wearing shirts. I mean, I'm always wearing this. Today is not an example of it, but it is for you. You're wearing the Hendrix Experience one.
Sure.
But I go places and I see people with band shirts, local band shirts, things like that, all over the place.
Yeah, I would have to set it up where, to be honest with you, if that was something I would do.
Yeah.
Where it would be to order.
Yeah.
Like, and I wouldn't be like, I'm going to make 100 for myself and ship them to somebody.
You know
Matthew,
what I mean? We will talk about that.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm aiming to do.
All right.
That is what music, Make It So Enterprise aims to do. It's a custom shop.
All right.
Okay.
We'll talk more about
Moving forward, though. Wow. That was a lot.
Yeah. It was a lot. I hate to stand it. I just want to say.
Are we wrapping up?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
I think I'm going to get some lunch, but
yeah, I should probably also.
We've been talking for a while.
I have no idea what time it is. As you know, with musical conversations, continuing the conversation, because there's so much more to talk about.
Yes, there's always something.
One of the questions you had is the most interesting person that I've interviewed.
Yeah,
and I have had the opportunity to interview some amazing people. I love talking with Peyton, for example. She's astounding. Mm-hmm. And we are working on swag for her, by the way. Oh, it's great. For her on stage with Al.
Nice.
Yeah. However, and I'm working with an artist to do that stuff. Mm-hmm. It's great. A great project. But, Ann Layton is the publicist who introduced me to Ian Anderson, but also a man named Howard Bloom.
Okay.
Howard Bloom Organization Limited is the music publicity company that he ran from 1976 to 1988. Now, where was I in that time? I mean, I'm right in the middle there.
Yeah.
As far as when I'm getting into music, learning about music, and really, really absorbing it and being the target demographic. Okay. And he's worked with such a long list of people that when Ann introduced me, because he had published a book called The God Problem, How a Godless Cosmos Creates, we started the conversation. I'm now dear friends with him, and it's fascinating because here's how wonderful and deep his conversations go. This man worked with Queen, got them to play in South America. Mm-hmm. He's the one who set all of that up. And he has had the opportunity to sit down with Brian May and talk astrophysics. The man's got the doctorate in astrophysics.
Sure.
He's astounding. He's also the one who, Kenny Laguna, who works with Joan Jett, he is the one. Kenny reached out to Howard, said, put a line that she's got an album out in Cashbox or something. That's what Kenny wanted. And Howard said, no, we've got this plan, 22-month plan. Let's go for this.
Right. And
put her on the road all up and down the East Coast, sell the albums out of the trunk. Let's do this. And this is what she did. But in 18 months, she ended up hearing I Love Rock and Roll on the radio. And Kenny even talks about that on stage, how they turned the channel to the next station, and there it is again playing, and it just became popular. She thanks Howard for her career 100%. And that's great. So I had the opportunity to meet Joan Jett when she was in town last year.
That's great, man. Hey, on that note,
I'm sorry.
No, that's not a problem. We're just going to start wrapping up.
All right.
How do we, if we want to get in touch with Stan Cocheo, and Musical Conversations, tell us where to reach out to Stan?
Stan.cocheo@gmail.com.
There we go.
Is the one that I use the most. I do have others, but I keep forgetting about them.
And how about Musical Conversations? Where can we find out more about Musical Conversations?
musicalconversations.org.
Fantastic.
And there is a player on the site. There's also a chat room in there. So when it's live, you can, talk.
Do we need to go to the website to listen to it live on Tuesday evenings?
Yes.
Okay.
That is where it happens.
9 to whenever on Tuesday evenings.
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes. Lately it hasn't been because of that podcast fade.
Yeah.
Pod fade, did you call it?
Yes.
Was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's when people just give up. You haven't given up.
I haven't given
it's
up.
Not fade.
I have slowed down. This doesn't pertain because but an upcoming episode is going to be with Philip Rich, the singer of the band No Spoon.
That sounds fantastic.
He's wonderful. Yeah.
Awesome.
What's interesting is how close this you have to experience also, by
Sure.
the way, how close you become to the musicians, the interviewees.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
It's fascinating to
It
me
really is.
how we just interconnect, just
You get to meet a lot of people you never really would have met before if it wasn't
that?
for the interview. And if you're talking for a long time, that's one reason I do like, it's one reason I do like long form.
Yeah. it looked like
Is
it
that
was
you?
doing something.
No,
I'm
it's just
sorry.
popping up for stuff.
Okay, sorry.
I do like long forms because you really kind of get to know somebody.
Yes.
As opposed to come in, talk for a half hour, 40 minutes, and then we're done. And
So in town, no longer on the station, Divakar had a Sunday night show called 90 Minutes and More. Mm-hmm. And it was focused on local music. And he would interview people and then play their music. And great, wonderful. Mm-hmm. Not many people are listening to the radio to begin with, let alone a Sunday night. However, I've had guests in who say, okay, we got 20, the Divakar said, I'm sorry, they said to me that Divakar would say, we've got 20 seconds, tell me about this song.
right.
And when I finally got to meet Divakar and talk with him, I'm like, I've spoken for an hour about a song deeply. Like,
How are you going to do it in 20 seconds? Yeah.
He pointed out to me, because radio, that if you then get a sponsor who will expand your listenership, and then they're going to put a restriction on it.
Yeah.
You go down a little bit farther, you get more, and then when it gets to the point of the radio station that he's on,
Yeah.
that has listenership, so vast, so
Yeah.
broad, he said, you're restricted down to, hey, I got 20 seconds to this
Yeah.
because the sponsor has to say something next.
Yeah.
Of course, now all of that's computerized completely.
Where you don't have to do that in
Broadcast
musical
right.
conversations.
You
You can go
don't.
on
Thank
and
you.
on and on.
And I can shut up about it now. Because I take that cue.
No, man,
Oh,
not
no,
at
no.
all.
No, I love it.
You're able to go as long as you like, which is a lovely thing. And that's your format. You are able
Right.
to do as long as you want. I get limited sometimes on the amount of time that I can do just because I have to upload to a website.
Yeah.
And inside baseball, I get so much megabytes that I can do. Otherwise I have to sign up for the next level of payment
Okay,
for
of payment for
something.
it, yeah.
So I can
And-
my files are only so big.
Right.
That I can do. So I have to cut it, either reduce the quality of the sound, the files,
Yeah.
to reduce the file size.
How big are
or-
your files usually?
It depends. It really depends.
Okay, I'm in the 600 to 700
Yeah.
megabyte range.
I mean, I did that interview with Peyton, and I had to reduce a 4.5 hour or 4 hour podcast down to it's like the lowest amount
Yeah.
that I could squish it down to.
So when Plaza Midwood Community Radio came to me and said, we love what you're doing.
Yeah.
We can give you whatever time. Just give us 2 hours.
Yeah.
I chose 2 in the afternoon. They ended up moving me to 4 in the afternoon on a Saturday.
Okay.
And I looked at it and said, that's absolutely ridiculous. So I started just taking the whole thing and cutting it into 2 hour blocks.
Yeah.
Adding in an intro saying, hey, here we are continuing this
Yeah.
conversation and going from there.
Yeah. It gets long.
got long.
It's long.
Yes.
But listen, Stan, I'm going to grab some lunch, man.
Okay.
And it's been awesome talking to
Absolutely
you. having you
amazing.
in.
I look forward to doing
Yeah.
something again.
Yes,
with
absolutely.
you. Whatever. You're welcome on Musical Conversations whenever
Anytime,
you have
man.
a Tuesday
As soon
night.
as summer's here, I'm free
Yeah.
on Tuesday evenings. So
That'd be great.
It'd go
It'd be
great to
nice
have
to
you back.
catch back up.
Maybe we can
I
get
talked
Greasy
about
Keys in one
Greasy
time, and we
Keys.
can have the
Maybe
three of us talk.
Three of us
recording. Yeah.
And Daniel Costin can host that.
Yeah.
Because that's his idea. How wonderful that
Let me
would
know
be to
when we
connect
make
all
that
of
happen.
us. Yeah.
I'm up for it. You have a great rest of the weekend, man.
You too.
Enjoy. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Ciao.
Queen City Music Podcast.
Thanks for listening to episode 99 of the Queen City Music Podcast, and I hope you'll go back and check out past episodes. And if you've enjoyed the podcast, please share it with your friends. As always, if you have an idea for an episode or would like to be a guest on the QCMP, reach out to me at qcmusicpodcast@gmail.com. Also, check out our local partners, Charlotte New Music at charlottenewmusic.org, Blacker the Berry Lemonade at btblemonade.com, and our newest local partner, the Evening Muse at eveningmuse.com. And if you would like to become a local partner, once again, touch base with me at qcmusicpodcast@gmail.com. Until next month, get out there and support the local Charlotte music scene by hearing some of the talented artists who call our city home.